Yeah, so the first time that he did the podcast, we were downstairs and we didn't have a studio. We didn't have anything. We just like did it on like one of the. Sounds like when you say it like that, we just did it on the fucking counter.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
I mean, it was down there by the stairs. It was you and your brother. So that was when
We didn't have stairs.
Oh yeah, you didn't even have this whole entire top part built yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it was just those little mic stands that we had on it.
Yeah, and we're just hanging out down there by the kind of like by where the fridge is, like in the front. Because I had a little island kind of thing that stuck out, and it's just weird how this thing's evolved, you know. But fuck, dude, like had to be like 18 or probably 19, I think, is when we did that. Because it was with Hellbent, right?
Yeah, that was when we were doing the FXR2. So we were
Yeah.
there for the giveaway bike for Texas Hills.
That was a good time.
Oh yeah, that whole entire Texas Hills tour was definitely in memory. Like, in Dallas. Oh, there's a lot of stories for that fucking Dallas time. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, God bless Ariana Grande.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome how that whole FXR2, right, has made full circle, even though it's making you earn it this time around.
Yeah. I mean, just the story of that bike is really special to me, and I'm glad that Chris kind of noticed it. Because every time I would see that bike everywhere. Like, I'm super stoked that Chris got it, and what he did with it was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the mags and everything, it was perfect. And then it was Born Free of last year that we saw each other, and he rode the bike up. But every time I look at this motorcycle, like it's different from everything else, but it's more of how everything transpired to acquire it. And seeing it, we finally had a conversation, and then it got brought up. Like, hey, I'm looking to sell it. And then I'm like, well, what do you want for it? And it just happened to be something that was very...
You could swing, yeah.
Yes.
But for everybody listening, like, tell them what the story was, like what you were doing. Like, you own this bike. It's and y'all were doing a deal to do a giveaway for Texas Hills in 19.
Yes.
So tell that story
So...
to lead into this.
Yeah. I was working for Fort Bend County. I was stationed at Stafford Fire Department, so I had a bunch of good buddies over there. My good buddy John, who was one of the lieutenants there, like, of course, firefighters have 8 million different jobs, so he luckily had the right ones, which was the mortgage brokers, to where he does all the loans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he was looking to make some investments. Well, I was already looking at FXRs because I'm like, I need something. I was just in a moment in my life to where I needed the distraction. I need something to focus on. And then to me, it was flipping motorcycles. So I already knew about these motorcycles, and they would be the perfect one. And this was 2019, so they haven't got to where they are now, to where, you know, it's a lot more. You have to have a lot more finances to really get in that game.
Yeah.
So I found this R2 for, I think, $9,000 he wanted it for. Really low mileage, never even been touched. It was over in Pasadena. And I look over at John, and I'm like, I think I can get this for like $7,000. You know, and he's like looking at, he's kind of egging me on a little bit and stuff. And he's just like, I think you can do better than that. Like, what number do you think you can get? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let me just send this guy a message. So we start going back and forth and eventually get to a number that's very doable. And I'm like, cool. Well, I don't have this fucking money right now. Well, John's like, oh, don't worry about that. And then he walks into his office, gets out his checkbook, writes the exact amount of money that I need, signs it over to me. He's like, hey, I know you can do it, but get it done. So he gave me the key to kind of start this whole entire thing. It was enough. It was a moment in my life to where someone that had that trust.
Yeah.
And then he knew, like, he had no, I guarantee if I would have fucked that whole entire thing up, he'd be like, it was pretty dumb of you to do, but he wouldn't hold it over my head. Like, he wouldn't do anything. Like, he was a genuine friend to me. Like, he was a mentor for a long time with emergency services.
Nice.
So, but with that small ticket, you know, we started up and we're like, okay, I go there. The money I had, I still wanted to go a little about $500, but like under that. Hold on, I got something in my throat. And so it was just the husband was there. So we settled on that price that I wanted, and I'm like, sweet. But then this Jeep pulls in, and it's his fucking wife, and he's like, shit. And I'm like, all right, do your thing. And they both go walk inside, and then that scrapped that whole entire fucking deal. She tried to get it another $1,000 up. We managed to bring that back down to $500, but like in my head, it was still a number that I can do, that I can flip the motorcycle, and still, like, looking at it as a business perspective, like, it's still okay, cool. But just the fact that all that, just standing there watching this transpire, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, if she would have waited like 15 minutes or stopped by the gas station or went and got food or anything like that, he would have signed that title and I would have been gone. Damn. But the fact that she just pulled in there and then was just looked at him, they went inside, like the we gotta talk look.
Oh, shit.
And then I knew, like, okay, this deal's done. So, But eventually the guy was a great dude. He like told me the story about it a little bit. It's a bike from New York City. He still had the keychain from the original dealership that it was bought from. Pristine condition. It just needed, just normal. It needed some love on it.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it kind of started. So it started with, okay, I'm going to flip this bike. So I hit up a couple buddies of mine, and then that pictures of the motorcycle eventually led themselves to Texas Hills, to where now it came back, hey, how do you feel about doing a giveaway bike for this? And I'm like, okay, sure. I had no idea what was entailed for a giveaway bike or anything like that, but I knew it was a challenge and was something that we can figure out. And then that's when me and Eddie partnered up. I'm like, hey, this will be a good opportunity for Hellbent Crew to get in with Texas Hills with this FXR2. And then now we have our shop we can build it at. Yeah. So just kind of the dominoes that knocked over from such a small thing to like now it's kind of multiple gears in one place. Now we're doing Texas Hills. Now we're having meetings, and now we're setting it up to where it's on the cover of Biker Living magazine.
Yeah.
Like we're slowly pushing these things forward, and it just evolved into this huge, we started the Texas Hills tour, and that was really over ticket sales, because fucking raffling bikes. Like if you raffle bikes, you have more patience than I've ever imagined, because it's just such a stressful experience, because like you're looking at these numbers and you're like, fuck, these aren't added up, especially something where it's only $25. Like we were going, I think we went to Giddy Up. That's where Chris bought his ticket. We were selling tickets and stuff, and we're like, fuck, we need to speed this up so we can meet this so we can pay for the parts and all the stuff that went into this motorcycle. So that's when it clicked for the Texas Hills tour. Like, why don't we just trailer it to every single bike night, showcase it out there, and then now that kind of pushes people towards Texas Hills, and like that actually worked. Yeah. So the Texas Hills tour is what saved us, and so like every other weekend we would do a bike night. I think we had Corpus Christi, New Braunfels, Dallas, and Austin. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, and like they were all awesome. Dallas was fun, like when we had all that stuff go down. But just like with all that stuff kind of intermingling, like we were having meetings, like it was a very proactive, like everyone was kind of getting things going. And for it to start with just like a conversation around
You've always seemed like that kind of guy at Simpson, that you have like managerial, is that how you say that? Skills, like orchestrating things and putting things together. But you, like you said earlier, like your friend that actually invested in you, like sometimes you need people like that to kind of help get the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's all you need. Like that's really what my heart needed, was just someone to believe in me. Oh, yeah. And that was John, to be like, because in your head, you're like, I can't fucking do this. Like, there's tons of people that get into this. Like, how the fuck do I think I'm special? Or like, all these other guys that have like finances and everything. I was just going into it with an idea and then just be like, I'm pretty sure I can do this.
Most people that I know that do the flipping bike things, other than like maybe Joe Kidd, there's a financer behind it.
Yeah, and then I figured.
Yeah, most people aren't playing with their own money for the most part.
Yeah, and like with that and money, like it's awesome. Like especially with the, like that's, I knew that was the pathway. It's almost my brain sent me in that pathway, because to think like I have a lot of respect for the people that are literally like, my time is money. And they're like, well, I have 6 hours, and they diagram their days and everything like that. And I just can't do that. Like my brain is so all over the place, like to just try and be like, okay, well, I know I'm going to have 3 hours to do this front end, like to put all that stuff on paper and just still maintain that. Like, fuck, like I can have a friend stop by the garage and that's 3 hours of conversation, and you're just like, oh shit, now I got to do this. And then during that whole entire scenario, then you see something else on the bike. You're like, man, that would be really cool to do. And then now I'm in drag specialties. And then now it's 6 hours later and I haven't done anything else. And then now I'm doing some weird shit to the rear end because I'm like, oh, I saw this bike, this picture of this motorcycle. I think this would look good on there. Yeah. So, that's just where my brain just can't do that. But at the same time, I can use that for those like spontaneous bursts of creativity, to where like, then when you kind of zone in there, then boom, like then I just went 12 hours. I have no idea. I haven't ate since like 10 in the morning, and it's 10 in the morning the day before, and it's 2 in the morning now. But then that's how I can.
Yeah, those feelings are good though. Like that kind of like, when do you ever else in your life feel that engaged in something? Like it's an intoxicating feel that, it is running you down because you're not eating, you're not being as healthy as you probably should be, but that feeling of so laser focused, dialed in, getting this done, making this cool, like present, is a very rare thing that you enjoy or you live in. But it's kind of like, I felt it doing the FXR. It's intoxicating.
Mm-hmm. It's a superpower. Like it's for sure. Like during this time with the R2, like I had no idea. Like now as an adult and seeing a lot of issues and just really getting sick of the struggles that it comes with having brains like that. I read books and I put in the research to really figure out like about executive function and about all these. I mean, it's ADHD. I just hate the fact like fucking 5 or 10 years ago, if you said that word, people would laugh at you. Yeah. And you're like, no, this is a real fucking thing. Like I struggle with a lot of shit that, the chemical composition of my brain just can't function like a normal person does.
Yeah.
So, but when I get these sparks of hyperfocus, now I know to use them.
Well, to chime in on what you just said, though, it feels like nowadays, instead of saying like a normal person, it's more like, okay, there's so many people, myself included, that have things like ADHD that it's like, that's kind of normal now.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same way, like some people are this blood type, some people are just wired differently to like need more stimulating things to focus. You know what I mean? I guess that's kind of what that kind of plays into is, instead of saying, oh, well, I've always used ADHD as an excuse. Like, oh man, sorry man, ADD. Don't rely on me for shit. So, but now it's like I feel like it's so common. I mean, mild cases to extreme cases. Like there's so much. It's so many levels of it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm an extreme case. Okay. Like mine is very much like it's for the run. If you look at the ride maps. Like that would be just a lot of those were done at work, while I was on the ambulance, and so we would just be sitting there because I was working for North Harris County, so it was such a busy area. It was more of a post matrix, which just means we very seldomly were actually housed at fire stations. Yeah. Usually just because of the high call volume, like we're in fucking Kroger waiting for somebody to do some stupid shit, And so while I'm doing that, I'm like, okay, but I'm already in it's a light switch in my head. Like the moment I fucking go on duty, it's completely different. Like my brain functions differently.
Yeah.
So I would use I bring my laptop, and while I'm sitting there waiting, then boom, once I get that burst of okay, this is what I need to do. A lot of I think the second year, the beer, the DB Rustic, the beer stuff was done on the ambulance. All of the ride maps were. Mm-hmm. So I was basically, my partner thought I was crazy because I was just like, okay, I gotta fucking, and then I would draw out do the Google Maps, and then I was using Photoshop at the time. Mm-hmm. And then, so I would get everything done. I'd be like, okay, cool. And then we would pop a call. I would run the call, come back. Okay, now I gotta type out the narrative for that. And then type that out. Okay, cool. And then try and, I'm really bad at this Instagram stuff. I just can't. I don't do when I post it, it just goes. I know I need to post it at a certain time.
Oh, fuck all that.
But it's so I'll try but my time was just okay, we're picking up this patient. Okay, for I think the Santa Lena, we had a septic patient. So we had not trauma, but a bad medical patient, handled that, got to the hospital. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta fucking post this because it's 5 p.m. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess the best parts are between 3 and 6. I also don't know shit about one of the best parts of doing that. So I'm sitting in the fucking hospital and I'm giving my patient report with my phone out, okay, I'm trying to get the thing posted. And then I'm like that was the circle logo was done done at Methodist inside of the nurses station after we just dropped off a patient. I was super nervous about because
it's like I'm dying over here and you're worried about getting your post out before 6.
Yeah. Okay. They weren't dying. Okay. If we got to the hospital, typically they were stable and stuff. So I'm out there. Yeah. I'm not gonna put the patient in a position to where
it's okay if you did.
But I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years. You're balancing. I can do that all day. And that's but there was those hyper focus moments that I was doing, and I knew it. And then once it would click, I'd be like, I have to do this now. Yeah. And then we get it all done. Then trying to cycle it through all of the chaos of emergency medicine, that's just me being dumb. It's
so. On the FXR, doing that whole tour throughout the whole year, because I mean, realistically, it was the first part of the year. Mm-hmm. Right, because Texas Hills was always in May, and then you were pretty much, and we had Giddy Up. That was the last year of Giddy Up. You're pushing sales through all these different functions and bike nights and whatnot, and then they do the giveaway. And I remember because that was when they were still doing it at Albert's Ice House. Mm-hmm. And that was the week before we did this trip as a group, and I remember getting super fucked up, throwing up there at the bathrooms. Then trying to raid my brother's cooler where he had Go-Gurts, the little yogurt packs in the fucking strip. And because we were so fucked up and everything was closed, it was me, Wes, some of the Dallas to the LTD dudes, and I think Brad. And we were just fucking rummaging through people's shit trying to find snacks like bears, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, those Texas Hills days were fucking gold, man. Like there was just something about that time. 19 and 18 and 17 and all those years were just different, though.
I don't think anything will match up to 19. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
that was literally that's my top 3 cycle shows I've ever been to. Like that was the perfect amount of people. Like it was the right people, and like everyone.
Our whole scene in Texas though was just like really emerging at that time because you know the blending of like the chopper scene and then the performance motorcycle scene and the FXRs, Dynas, and performance baggers and whatnot. It was all kind of converging right there in that 18-19 era. And yeah, I agree that show was real special to me at that time. You know?
Well, it was pre-COVID. You know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what like the changes of pre-COVID, because I mean, that 2019 isn't easily replicating. You can replicate that type of environment. You know,
you could, but it's the people's mentalities have changed now.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're now on that note of like what you're saying, like what you're getting at. Like yes, the simplicity of that event of 19's Texas Hill Show, you had a bar, they had a huge like outdoor venue kind of patio space, right? You had like a barn that they were able to put like a more curated version of the show in there. So a lot of the more nicer bikes that could be set up real dope. You had a road like King Tony's out there fucking doing wheelies and doing burnouts. And then you had like a huge field, and out in the corner along the river, there's people camping.
Yeah.
Like you really can't, it's so simple. It's like, there's no bands playing. I don't think. If there was, we weren't paying attention.
They had a couple of they had bands there. I think they had a metal band the first night. The next day they had a couple of bands that were playing. Like my favorite moment was that Saturday night. Was at the fucking bar that we completely shut down. And and then we had fucking wheelchair Olympics. Like we're fucking putting wheelchairs on top of the picnic tables and seeing who can jump them off the picnic table.
Yeah.
And then that led over to fucking seeing who can jump them off the stairs. You know, motorcycles were getting burned out in the dirt, so they didn't have to put their kickstands up. Like we were paying the bartenders to take body shots off them. Like that was the funnest fucking night, and everyone was there having a good time. Like if you look at the pictures, you can see it.
But though I think what's changed is that maybe not changed, but I think maybe the fact that we're older now, so we look forward to those like more intimate style events, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I mean, it's a natural progression. Like as a person that puts on an event, same here. There's a part of your brain that wants to make it bigger every year and more people to have a great time. Like that's part of the whole mentality of like trying to curate a good time for somebody. Like you want more people to enjoy what you enjoy about this world, right? Mm-hmm. But the truth is, like, there is a cap where nothing is enjoyable after that in certain spaces, right? When you go see a band, it feels way better at like, you know, sub maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 people tops. Small venue, that might even be a lot, maybe 500 people, good venue. You feel it all. It's like you're there, like it's more communal. Versus when you go to, you know, like a stadium and you're seeing Taylor Swift or some shit like that. Like how connected do you feel that far away?
Yeah, I mean, we went to go see Pantera for my birthday last year, and like that was at Woodlands Pavilion. There was thousands of people there. Like we were just as close as you can get to the bar. So we were basically just getting drunk at a Pantera show, and listening to Pantera in the background. You know, it wasn't any, like, if it was a smaller venue, like House of Blues or anything like that, and they were jamming out, like, we'd be up there. Like, we would be in the crowd, we would be getting down. But everything was everywhere. We're not going to go and be surrounded by thousands of people, you know?
Go stand and, like, while everybody puts their phones in the air to film what you're already experiencing and shit like that. So there's just, like, I think there's a disconnect. I think you know, we've all kind of... I think that we get sold on like the bigger events more, like, oh, we can't miss out on Daytona, the whole concept of FOMO. You can't miss out on Sturgis, which I love Sturgis, but I've always said you need a balance of like one good big ass event, like one good Sturgis or Born Free California. And the rest of the year needs to be like small, good times, like nitty gritty, or, you know, Run to Terlingua, like these kind of things that are smaller. They're not small. Like to say like, oh, it's you and 40 people. I mean, we're still talking a couple hundred people, maybe 1,000 or two, right? but it's just like you feel like you're all part of something special. You know what I'm saying? And it feels more personal. Like you feel like you own a little bit of this. Like this is mine. Like when you find that band before the world does, dude, this is kind of like I know about this. You know, I'm in.
They're unique moments. That's what you're trying to build. Like you can't just they're a better word, organic moments. Like we're trying to build more organic moments, and like, especially with cycle shows and stuff like. That let's call it an organism, which is our motorcycle culture. Like I want to feel that, like when I go places, and a lot of times when you meet people, they admit it, and it's really up to us to maintain that certain organism now, you know, because we are right at that age to where we're getting old, but we're not old enough yet.
Yeah.
So, and that's been my primary focus for Terlingua is just to try and because that atmosphere, there's potential there, but you have to notice it and. Like that's why I did the Terlingua registry stuff to like what you're saying that implants you there. Like you're almost being guided to be present. You know, I'm not going to tell you to. Like I'm going to let this area do that for you. But like having those like signing a book that everybody else signed. You know, everybody else is here for the same exact reasons, and you'll feel that if you get out here. Like. I'll put out some information and stuff like social media to me. Like it's great. I have a website that's getting built that'll have all the information. So just please, I thank you for the patience and everything from everybody out there. Like I've had some incidents happen this year, you know, medically and stuff that I'm taking care of, but it will like be set up and ready to go. So, I mean, we're going to be centered more around the ghost town this year. So because the Passing Wind's a special place, we tried, like we learned a lot from last year. We're going to try and, because the second year definitely was the vibe I want to keep. I mean, that we had at DB Rustic, because it just was everyone was comfortable. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. There was no complaints. There's no like.
Everybody was close.
Yeah. So the Passing Wind was right there, and that place alone, like camping up there, like if you've never been there.
You sold me on the ship. On the pirate ship.
Yeah, the fucking pirate ship. So, and plus, like, that pirate ship is incredibly unstable. So, it is not good to get on. There. Yeah, like, now it's even more unstable. But having that available, like, that's going to be available this year, and we're going to kind of be centering more on the Passing Wind and the ghost town. Yeah. So, like, the boathouse is going to be a hub over there. We're going to have the Starlight. DB's is back on board. Just to kind of
DB's is the barbecue.
Yeah.
The barbecue spot, right?
Barbecue joint.
Yeah.
So you can just walk wherever you want, and then just the accessibility of like the website's mainly going to be geared towards information to where like instead of having to scroll through social media to try and be like, okay, well, where did he say this, like stuff like that. We're going to have where the liquor store's at. We're going to have all the ride maps on there. We're going to have different local businesses that you can support. There's a lot of good people running good businesses out there that are pretty rad. You know, there's Jeep touring. Like if you wanted to bring your wife, your old lady, or your friends want to do something on Saturday, like you don't have to ride. Like a lot of these people that have been here every single all 3 years, they can dip into other activities. Like they can go to the hot springs in Big Bend, which are fucking awesome. Like you can literally, it's a gravel road. You can get there on a motorcycle. We did, and it's a hot spring that's right on the Rio Grande, and you can literally, it's the perfect temperature where you can jump between both. So, and it's probably like a 1/4 mile hike to get over to it, but like you can do that. You know, I mean, if you've already ridden the roads and stuff like that, but there's other options that you can do, or you can hang out. Like we'll probably be cooking food at the Passing Wind and shit like that. Like there'll be a lot more stuff, but it's your organism.
Well, what I like about how you do it, and this is an important thing that I think people need to recognize about events, is that you give people suggestions of what they can go try to experience, but it's on their own accord, right? It's not like 2 p.m. is this ride, the crawl, the this, the that. It's like I don't like when we get to the point of like we're trying to entertain you, then I think that it takes away the ability for the person on the bike coming to this place to go explore and feel like it's theirs. It's almost like dance monkey dance on the stage, right? And what I loved about that year is that you guys had like a few different runs. And I know that I was able to catch up with you not on 3, but on 2, and ride with you guys from the ghost town up to do a sunset ride. Yeah. And I stayed back for the later sunset and got some of the best photos I've ever taken in my life. But just that experience of cruising those roads with a lot of the homies, a lot of them from Dallas, Wes, Steve and all those guys. And dude, I had a blast the moment I left, but Alpine was a fucking rage.
Yeah,
We had a fucking great time in Alpine.
R.I.P. old gringos.
Dude, I sold everybody on Gringos this year, and then we got there and it was like still a bar, but not what it was, not the hotel bar anymore.
Yeah. I'm working on, so Thursday for the early birds, we're working on some stuff. So just to give you guys something to do, there's a thing called the Party Barn that's pretty awesome. It's just making sure it's available on Thursday. And like I will be putting out stuff with all the available Airbnbs and stuff like that. But I strongly just camp. Like
the thing is, like, if you go get an Airbnb, yes, you're gonna have your creatures of comfort, but you're gonna take yourself out of what could happen. And when you're out there just kind of partying, hanging out, whether you're drinking or not, just being a part of those conversations, those fire, circle jerks, all that stuff is what makes these events special. Like if you try to be uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Like the more uncomfortable you are, the more you experience. Like,
yep.
Because if you get a perfect fucking Airbnb, I know people are going to do it, so just hear me out. If you get a perfect Airbnb, you're probably going to want to spend more time there instead of being a part of what's going on. And the whole point of these events is to like meet people, ride things experience things you haven't before. And a lot of those experiences of new comes by being around new people.
Yeah.
If you bring the same fucking people you're with and you go to this place and you stay segregated by yourself, you're really not bringing any new experiences other than the roads and maybe the atmosphere, as opposed to like the new friends that you make being out doing stuff. So,
like it breaks that.
Yeah.
But it's also, most people are doing 650 miles just to get out there. And this is West Texas and you feel it. And like you're passing an 80-mile fucking dead zone from Alpine just to get there.
Yep.
And what happens in between that 80 fucking miles? Like you better be ready to be hanging out for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like I used to fucking carry the collapsible lawn chair in my bag just in case it happened once. My buddy blew a wheel bearing like on the way to Presidio.
Yeah.
And then so we were stuck on the side, and then when I just pulled out my lawn chair, just put it up and set it next to his motorcycle, and we were there for a couple of hours until we had a trailer come pick us back up.
Yeah.
So it seals that. And also, like, dude, you're fucking tired, and everybody's tired, but everybody's tired for the same reasons.
Yeah.
So it's like having those simple conversations is refreshing. Like, then you don't have to, like, kind of build like you already have shit to talk about, and they know exactly what you're talking about because they did the same thing that day too. And you want to talk about it because it's fucking beautiful, and there are roads you will never see before in Texas.
Yeah.
So a lot of the first timers coming out here, boom, but there's no hesitation to talk to the person next to you because they already know. Because they already did it, and they're already, and especially with cultivating your own adventure, it brings you home with ownership. Like, it's not like, great, if I went to an event and they had everything scheduled and I'm like, I want to do this, 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 and this. Okay, awesome. I had a great time at this show, and then it doesn't, I go home and that's really all it is.
But that's the difference between a run and a show, though. A run is something that you're participating in on a more, like, involved level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why the distinctive word run versus like come to the Terlingua show.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And the second you would not be able to put any sort of structure to Terlingua. If you would have saw me last year, I was running around with my freaking head cut off because it's just you can't plan for stuff.
I had to wait till you're super drunk to get you chilling for a minute.
Oh yeah, like that was fine at the end of the night. Like that was fun. Like it was fun setting everything, but just. I'm just used to it. So it's like I knew the bands needed stuff. Like we tried to prepare as much as we have, but kind of the game plan was like, hey, you have until 4 p.m. to figure out everything you need. I can find everything by 4 p.m., but anything after that, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah. So it was just like they were setting up, we need extension cords. Well, I know where to get extension cords, or we need mic stands and stuff like that because not a lot of people have that stuff, or we don't really know what we need. Like we just reinforced this stage like 3 months prior. And really we just made sure it was okay by jumping on it. Oh, yeah. So like that stage hasn't been fucking ran since SoTall Fest, which I think was 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. So, but I mean, we got power to it and stuff like that. All that stuff was good. But just trying to plan that out, like I fucking borrowed sound equipment from this guy from Lajitas that works at the pro shop for the golf course. He just happened to be like this fucking music dude that had a bunch of amps. Like we had to listen to him talk about his amps for like half an hour before we could actually take them and put them in the back of the truck.
So you had to pay the fucking
we had to pay the tax on that one. And it's just like that was our speaker setup. It's not like we can call a sound guy just to be like, hey, I need you to come over here. Like no, dude, they're probably coming
run
from
over
fucking
to Guitar Center real quick and get a couple things. We need some more XLR cables or something. You know?
Well, it's a 2-hour fucking drive for some of those dudes. Like the first year when we tried to have music, we were gonna have a DJ to come out and do stuff, but he forgot his fucking PA, and it's an hour-and-a-half drive back to his house, and he's just like, "Oh no, if it's dark outside, I'm not driving over here." So I'm like, "Okay, great." So we just fucking.
So we'll just go fuck ourselves.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Like, then that just scrapped that whole entire thing. So luckily, like, dude, like Johnny was super good. Nick was awesome about just being like, "Hey, we need this," and everyone was like, "Just as long as you figure it out, it'll work." Yeah. So we managed to get it going. Like, fucking, we used the fire station or the fire truck to put up the goddamn sign on top of the stage. You know, like we were gonna use a Jeep. Like, my buddy rolls up with his Jeep because he had a tire on top, so we were gonna try and stand on top of the tire to put this sign on top of the stage, and of course, no, that's not gonna fucking work. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, the fire station's right around the corner, so I'm like, well, I can pull the fucking ladder from the station, put it in the back of the truck, and then when I got there, I'm like, wait, I'll just drive the fucking engine over there and then see if we can stand on top of the engine. Engine wasn't tall enough, so we have a hydraulic ladder hoist that come down, so we just pulled a ladder off of that, hopped over there, put the sign up, and then I went and backed the engine back up in the fucking fire station. So that's how we kind of got the sign put on top of the stage for the band. So yeah, it's stuff like that. You just got to kind of figure it out as you go because there's no normal way of doing things out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that like I said, the moment that I went there, I went two. I always kick myself in the ass for missing the first one. But two, for me, never being there before, because people got to understand that Terlingua, this area is not a pass-through town. Mm-mm. You know, it is more of a deliberate choice to ride through here. It's much like the way that you're going to go to see Grand Canyon. Like, you can be on Interstate 40 and you can pass by where Grand Canyon is, but you ain't seeing it till you go 60 miles off the highway.
Yeah.
And you got to go do this loop, kind of like what you would do if you were on 90 going through Marfa and Alpine. So it's a deliberate choice to go down there. And when you do, like, you don't feel like you're in Texas, you know? And, you know, Big Bend, and we were talking about this recently on a podcast because the vibes I get in Terlingua, Big Bend area is the same way I feel in, like, Monument Valley. And I think it's the deadening of sound. The same way that there's no light pollution out there, like, you know, you see the stars like insanely. Sound also doesn't reverberate off things in the same way. So you have this like calmness, silence that doesn't exist in a city or when you're kind of in lots of trees. Like, there's just something. There's silence out there.
Oh yeah, you nailed it. Like, it's I call it noise. Like, that was one of the primary reasons why I went out there. You know, I needed a break, and I was given an amazing opportunity to go out there. But when I first went out there, once I got over, because, I mean, it takes a while to adjust, man.
Yeah.
It's just not, hey, let's go out to the desert, everything's going to be fine. Like, everyone, all the locals were super supportive because they already kind of knew me out there. And
yeah, you were hanging out a lot.
Yeah, and so they were just like, some of them would be like 6 months. Come talk to me in 6 months. And but usually you got to spend a couple of months because you're basically taking an Etch-a-Sketch to your life and you're shaking it clean, and you have to redo everything. And it's the kind of the new mentality is if it'll go wrong, it will that same day. You know, I've had days where literally everything has went wrong. You know, like you wake up in the morning and then all of a sudden one of the tourist trailers busted the water line. So now I have no water in my RV park, you know, and then I'm like, shit. So, and then I go to the gas station, and then now they're out of gas at the gas station, you know, and I'm like, well, fuck. And then I go to the Starlight.
There's only one gas station.
Yeah. And so, but then I go back over to Cottonwood, and I'm like, well, shit, I might as well just cook food, and they're out of fucking eggs and steaks. You know, everything, you can go through your day, and everything will go wrong, and then you're just like, fuck this. And then you'll go to the porch, and there'll be a ton of people at the porch, and I guarantee you half of those people have the same day you have, because that's why they're sitting at the porch probably at 2 p.m, you know, and then we just go over to the trading post. This is right next to the Starlight, and you can literally, you buy 6-packs there, and you don't have to pull them out of the fridge. You buy a 6-pack, you walk in there, grab one, and you go sit back out on the porch.
Nice.
So, but that's kind of how they handle these situations because it's happening to everybody. So then one guy will come up with a stand-up bass, another guy will come up with a banjo, there will be another dude kind of playing harmonica, and then now the rest of your day is just chilling on the porch, drinking beer, talking to these guys, musicians. They may not even know each other, but then that balances out your whole entire morning, and then when you get home, the water's back on. You know, the truck came for Cottonwood, you know, and replenished the supplies, you know. Like, I've had times where I was out of fucking gas, and I wouldn't be able to make it over to the national park to get more, and I was like, shit, I'm fucked, you know. And Like,
that is the closest gas station, huh?
Yeah.
The one in
the
Big
national
Bend.
park. Yeah, at Panther Junction. So, which is 25 miles probably from like town. And, but I didn't think I could fucking make it because, you know, they've been out of gas for a couple of days. But like that same day, you're going home, probably a little buzzed and stuff. And then you see people at the gas station and you're like, oh shit, they got fucking gas. So then, boom, you know, your day of lows went to a high and then everything backed up. And that's kind of how things work out there. It will work itself out. You know, but you have to just figure out a way of sustaining until it does. Like in the middle of summer, a snake fucking crawled into the transformer. You know, that knocked our power out for 5 or 6 days. And this is smack dab in the middle of summer to where it's 110, 115 degrees. And like we prepare all of our trailers. Like I had some white trash shit on my trailer. So I had fucking the outside reflective fucking foil shit.
Yeah.
I had that on the west side of my trailer because the biggest thing is where the sun sets in the west is how your trailer heats up. And then I had that elastrometric coating on top, like 3 or 4 layers. That managed, and that plus 2 fucking window units, that kept the inside bearable. But once the power goes out, there goes your window units.
Yeah.
So, and you're just like, shit. And it doesn't take long, maybe 6 or 7 in the afternoon, that it's 100-something degrees in your trailer. And it will be 100-something degrees until probably 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, and that's, luckily I had the fire station to stay at. And we had fucking generators and stuff. Like, we can go a week with fucking electricity. So now you just pop up shop, go to the fire station, and I would stay in the fucking bunk beds over there. Because there's no fucking way you would be able to sleep with that. And then, but you just, per the last one, you just figure out a way to fucking handle it, and then it gets done. And then that's your new kind of, that's your new life structure almost. Like, and it's
also probably giving you like a more peel the curtain back of how, on a very smaller scale, like how this works, how a city works, how you know, supplies come in and, you know, how they get used up and, you know, all those kind of things. I feel like it's a good like assessment to, like you said, decompress from ultimate convenience of being in a city. You know, because when you're traveling on a bike, as I know you know, you're passing a house somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and then you're like, it was 40 miles till I found a gas station from that house. That's like from here to the other side of Fort Worth. Like,
yeah.
I definitely probably wouldn't be getting a Snickers or a Monster every goddamn morning for sure. But it's like, people live like that. That's the way of life in most of the country. You know, like it's only convenient in the city. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's such a perspective shift and I don't know, it just makes you appreciate it more, bitch a little bit less. Even though I still will find a way to bitch. You know, it's in my nature. But yeah, man, it's wild. That's why I think I love that about that area is because being bored down there means that, you know, you need to get a little creative. Not like, oh, well, let me go catch a new movie. Let me go play putt-putt. Let me go whatever the fuck people do when they're bored. Yeah. I'm never bored. I'm always like, I need to do 100 things. So pick one, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it slows you down. Like I like being bored out there, man. Like,
you can just go get a fucking tube and just sit in the Rio Grande.
Yeah. I mean, there's river guys. Like, if you're a local there, like, I can just show up to the river tours and be like, hey, what's going on? Do you guys have they got day tours. I can hop on a 3-day tour if I wanted to. Or you can do a 7-day to the dark canyons. And that's the most desolate place in the United States. So, and like, you're taking canoes and like your river guide is guiding you through the Rio, and like you're staying nightly on the side of the river. Like, and like, if you want to learn, especially like some of these cats, I would try to pick their brain about long distance traveling, because river guides are the people that are the masters at having the most amount of stuff in the smallest amount of space. Like, and having everything you legitimately need. They have water filters, they have stuff to cook food with, stuff to start fires, everything. And it's all in a pretty small backpack that can sustain probably their whole entire group. And just how they pack stuff, how they do stuff, like you can implement that on the road like nothing. Because it's the same, that just their road's a fucking river, and they've mastered it because they're just as passionate about, you know, being on the river than we are of being on the road. They've just been doing it for so much longer. And like, just the people I've met in Terlingua when it comes to the river guides are fucking badass. Like, hearing some of their stories and stuff, and just what they came from, and the rivers that they've been down, and just how they talk about it. And you're just like, you're kind of awestruck by just it's fucking ballsy, and like you're like, this lady's 86 years old, sitting in a chair, rocking chair, telling me stories about how she fucking was doing whitewater rafting on some different country, or like Colorado, or doing all this, or she was on the river for a month or two, or like, or they toppled going down the Rio Grande and they got stuck on the side of on the shore for 2 days because they had to wait for another group to come down the river to pick them up. You know, like these are all the stories you're coming to, but it's just they're just so nonchalantly, they're just like, that's just part of going down the river, and it's just like. I just really enjoyed those conversations with those individuals. Like,
y'all don't deal with y'all deal with the border stuff as much as like towards like El Paso and all that stuff is?
not really. Like, from me being there, I seldomly would hear anything about the border. Like, you're stuck, for people that don't know, you're stuck between a national park and a state park. And like, then right in the middle of it is Terlingua. And like, you can see the border from town, you know, but when it comes to news and stuff, like Ojinaga is a border town, but it's not the border town you think it is. Like, there's not a lot of tourists going around. There's not a lot of commerce. I guess that would be marketable for the United States for us to hear a lot of border problems. Is it just like every other border? Yeah. Like, we probably have people jumping over. I mean, we have border patrol checkpoints and stuff like that, but it's not like what you see over in what's that one place to where it's all popping off? It was all over the news and stuff with the state, and
I think it's for
Laredo, and then even down into like Brownsville.
I think it's more further south.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of the terrain in that area by Terlingua. It's not really. I mean, if you're trying to cross illegally, that's not the best terrain to try to cross. There's areas that are a lot flatter.
Yeah, I mean, it's surrounded by canyons. I mean, there's no, and plus it's the Chihuahuan Desert. Like, they'll die. Like, and it's a real fucking thing. Like, the summer, this last summer was a record. Like, that was the hottest it's been in over a decade.
Dude, remember I was gonna come see you, and it was like 115 degrees.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm fucking going home.
That's probably a good idea. Like, because I fucking installed, so you make it work, right? So I didn't really, there's nowhere to work on a bike, and like, you can't, like, if you work on it on the dirt, like, you're gonna get shit all over it. Like, there's no saying, like, dude, you'll be going through brake cleaner like every day, all day. So, but luckily we had a bay open in the fire station, so I'm like, that's my fucking spot. So when I needed to work on the R4 and shit, I would just roll it into the fire station with a scissor jack, set up everything I need, and that was pretty much my workspace. And I forgot where I was going with that one. What were we talking about before that?
Oh, just the border stuff. You know,
That wasn't it. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Well, because when you go from Presidio towards, is it Lajitas?
Yeah, Lajitas is Lajitas to Presidio.
Yeah, so I mean, you're literally riding on an amazing road that you got to be careful on it because there's a lot of washout spots where when the river kind of gets high, it puts dirt and shit over the road. But you can get off your bike and walk across the river like nothing. Mm-hmm. There's no fence, there's no wall, there's none of that shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always wondered that because, when we tried to go
across Boquillas.
Yeah, so everybody was talking about how you can get the tacos, and then everybody said you don't have to have a passport to go across. And then I walked over there with no passport, and the state trooper, the fucking U.S. guy, was like, "Nope, can't get in without a passport." I'm like, well, can I just run over there real quick? Because there's no fence. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, just fucking run over there. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Like, they will fuck you up. Like, nowadays, if you just pop over there and they find out about it, like, whew, yeah, they're not nice. We've heard a couple stories about tourists, like, especially the Boquillas crossing. Like, if you go to the Boquillas Overlook, because that's what they do, but that's an agreement. And, like, they don't know that
the Overlook is where they come across to come and sell the trinkets and stuff.
Exactly. That's an agreement with Boquillas and the Border Patrol for certain times. Like, that's a very structured thing. But tourists will see that, and then they'll just be like, oh, I guess I can just walk over the river over here. And, like, no, you can't do that. So if you look at it and you think it's a good idea around there, it's probably not.
I probably would have hated the tacos anyway. I'm a real picky dude.
Yeah, Boquillas is an experience. Like, it's rad. We had a group over there go over there, but you do need your passport to go. Like, as long as you have your passport, like, it's a 45-minute ride from town, and you could spend 2 hours there, but that's your afternoon.
Yeah.
You have from however early you want to wake up till like 6 or 7 in the afternoon to go do whatever you want. And this year I'm definitely going to try and make more incentives. And like, we're going to have the big loop this year, which is basically a combination of every single ride you have. And this is, like, I strongly recommend it. And it will take your whole entire fucking day. It's about 340 to 350 miles. And I'm going to call it, it's They call it the Big Loop locally, and that's kind of lame. So we're gonna try and figure out a better name for it. We got a couple of ideas, but we're gonna make a patch out of it. You'll be in like a group, you know, to where like if you do accomplish and there's gonna be parameters for it. Like you're gonna have to ride to Terlingua from home, and then you have to accomplish it on Saturday, and then you have to ride home. So if you do all of that, it gets you in the, you know, whatever we name the Big Loop, it gets you a patch. We'll try and figure out something special to do it, but so pretty much what the Big Loop is, and you can do it however you want. You got to do it all at once. So, but typically, easiest way to know it is you would start from Terlingua to Presidio to Marfa to Alpine. And then that goes into Fort Davis. So then you do the Fort Davis loop. So do all of that, come back down to Alpine, and then 118 down, and then that's the big loop. But that's 340 miles, but that knocks out every single road, like all the good roads that you have, minus the
Well, you go
the
to
national
Marfa
park.
and then you go through Fort Davis.
Yeah, Marfa. It's Marfa, Alpine, and then Fort. Like you'll kind of touch Alpine and go north, and then but Marfa is before Fort Davis. If you're going from Presidio.
Oh, well, we did it. We did it like Alpine. We went up and did Fort Davis, then came and dropped us off just shy of Valentine. Then came into Marfa.
Then that goes into Marfa. So Alpine, like when I say like you're not in Alpine, you're just kind of brushing up against the west side of it, and then you hit then you just head north to Fort Davis, hook a left, and then that's the Fort Davis loop.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you have the observatory.
Dude, that place is badass. That Fort Davis loop, oh, dude.
So right now, it's my favorite, you know, and I only say that because, dude, I fucking beat River Road to death. So, but it's the fact that it's a higher altitude, so it's a different environment. So you have rolling prairies.
There's barely any cars out there, too.
No, yeah, and you have the observatory, which is the tallest road in Texas, which is the highest interstate. Yeah, tallest road in Texas. But just how the road is for Fort Davis for the first part of it is you just have these 2-lane roads that are really skinny. And those are my favorite. And like, there's not really a lot of side road to it, and then you just have these rolling prairies to the side of it, because that's what Big Bend used to look like. Like, if you look at Fort Davis, it's a little different because Big Bend's a little bit lower in altitude, but it used to be a lot of rolling prairies. The reason it looks like it does now is because of overgrazing. Like, when we came in, the Spanish came in first, and then the Americans came in after that, but it was all cattle overgrazing. So when that happened, of course, the dominating cactuses came in, and then they started killing all of the I don't know how fucking this shit works, but that's kind of how it eventually led into
like
this fucking desert. Yeah. Oh, I have friends that they know every little thing about every cactus. Like, you know, I know about the so-called cactus and stuff, but this is coming from just because that's all you have to do. Like, sometimes when you're going around, like, you just want to know what you're looking at because you've been looking at it for the past 6 months. Yeah. And you really got nothing. Like, now you're opening books about so tall cactuses to figure out like how this stuff works and stuff. So, but yeah, that's the end of that. I forgot where I was going with that story too.
But no, that whole area, that whole loop, like you're talking about, even like going through Presidio, those roads, like, because that whole area, man, honestly, even from Sanderson, like taking 90 from Sanderson all the way, is it 90, right?
Yeah.
That stretch from there to Alpine was, for me, like, it was awesome because I got to catch like a sunset, and I parked my bike in the middle of the road, got off, looked around, walked back to my bike, got my camera out, then snapped off some pictures that I really fucking love. Went back to the bike, sat there for a minute, did a couple selfies with the phone. Mm-hmm. All right. Put it not one fucking car passing.
It's so awesome, man. You know? Like, yeah. Like that was, but really, like, Terlingua really did save me. And that, like, because you have that. Like, I pulled over in Fort Davis and had a blast. Like, sometimes I'll just sit and have a beer or maybe a little smoke or something. But, like, there's no judgment. There's no, like, it's for you. Like, you're present. Like, in just cutting that fucking noise out. Like, I was able to work through shit. Like, a lot of people have the same stories, and they all have the same kind of nature of it, is they could finally think. And like, you're not going down the fucking highway, 80 million fucking distractions with billboards and businesses and fucking food and all this stuff that is strategically placed to get your attention with colors and, you know, people or whatever the fuck. And then you go out here and there's none of that. And then you're just like, holy shit. And it took me a while to actually start noticing the things that are around me because I was so used to, like, in major metropolitan areas, like, I'm not noticing fucking mountains. They just look abnormally big. Like, that was kind of the first. And then you start feeling the breeze a little bit. And then, you start hanging out with the locals that are doing some shit. And then you start seeing how they talk and how they use their time. And then there's a lot of wisdom out there too, if you just listen to it. But you have to be present first, because they're not going to waste their time with you. Like, it's definitely, like, you mentioned a lot about vibes, and it is like they notice that coming from you. And then but whether you like it or not, you're slowly kind of being overtaken by the desert. And then you're slowly switching over what you see and what you value and what you see in people. And, it's kind of a beautiful feeling, because you shake off all the bullshit that was shoved into your face for God knows how long. And you could finally think independently. And that's been a very powerful thing since I went there.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because there's got to be something to what attracts certain types of people that have a choice to want to be in the desert versus other parts of the country. Because the mountains have a vibe. Like, if you're in high parts of Colorado or Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, all that stuff, like, those are different vibes in those mountain towns. I mean, usually the vibes are they have a lot of money and we can't afford to live there.
Yeah.
But same thing, like whenever I went to go meet Todd Bluebaugh, he lives in Pioneer Town, which is kind of like the Yucca Valley Desert area. And that place is, I mean, it's a little bit more populated than what like Terlingua is, but I could see the vibe. Like, when I was driving through there, I was like, yo, like, this is another one of those like parts of the desert that you really feel the quietness, the stillness, just the vastness. Like, it's makes you feel small almost sometimes, because you never be in the desert where you feel trapped.
What do you mean?
Like trapped, like
like enclosed?
Yeah.
Like
you always feel like it's open. Like, even if there's tall, monuments or cliffs or even mountains around, like, it never feels confined.
Yeah. I mean, it's intimidating at first. Like, I'll be real, like, the first time I went, I think in 2019 or 2018 or so, like, just to be alone, like, it was on 118. Like, I didn't know shit. Like, I didn't know I was in a dead zone. But it was like an overcast day. It was gonna rain. I have that handlebar mount on my phone, and it's just no service. I'm not really familiar with everything, and it's just, there's this area to where it's like 50,000 acres, and it's just flat. And it's just like, I'm just like looking around, like, if I fucking break down, like, I'm fucked. Like, it's rainy. It's like, I don't know if people go down this fucking road, and then you start, I guess that is that feeling of just feeling small. And because I was like, shit.
You feel small and exposed.
Yeah, exposed. So that's what I felt like. But then you start realizing, once you start kind of, I guess, getting a hold of everything, then it's more liberating. Then, like, I want to get out there. Like, I want to get on, and I don't want my fucking cell phone to ring and stuff like that. I'd rather fucking kickstand my goddamn motorcycle and walk in the fucking desert, pop off a couple shots and smoke a joint, and then fucking walk back and then get back on the bike. And do I want to do the big loop today? Do I want to go to fucking Sanderson and see a homie? Like, well, I don't know.
I don't suggest Sanderson.
Okay, I want to put this.
I gotta pee first.
I'm gonna put this out on the air. So, I did speak up. Yeah.
I did think of one thing. I didn't hit record on your board. It's just on there. Okay.
So, because he was talking about speaking up the Desert Ale, I'm going to talk to you. And so in 2019, Dustin with Texas Hills started he put together about 14 guys from different cities. It was Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. And it was just a super duper organic experience. Get me back on track again. My brain's scattered.
You were talking about 14 guys.
Yeah, so the Desert Air. Okay. That's going to happen a couple times. But, yeah. And Dustin really set up a really good, like, he had everything set up. Like, so we already knew what the mileage that we were going to do, but one of our destinations was the Desert Air. So they put all 14 of us in the corner, and so we all had our own separate rooms. But it was such a good fucking time. Like, we had beer. Like, they opened up the bar for us because there's only one dude that stays at the fucking hotel, and he's the bartender from the bar next door. So they opened that shit up, but we ended up all just drinking beer on the fucking steps. Like, they were rolling dice on the ground. Like, it was the best vibe. Like, everybody was having a good time.
What made you originally go out to Terlingua to begin with?
Just curiosity. And Matt, I guarantee you, it's a firefighter buddy of mine. He's an engineer with Stafford, and he reminds me every single time I talk to him that he was the one that introduced me to Terlingua. We were sitting at work, and he was talking about it, and then I just fucking hyper-focused. Once I started looking at it, And that's when we started planning trips out there. And that's when we started. It was a once a year thing. Then it was twice a year. Then eventually there was times where I was there 5 or 6 times through a year. But it was Matt at the fire station that introduced me to it probably in 2017 or 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like we'd see on your stories. It was like, oh, you're heading out there. But all of a sudden now every other story, it was like, it was more of you there than in Houston. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I just like riding it in general, like just getting away from it. Because, like, you talk a lot about wanderlust, and, like, that's the moment I see the rearview mirror, if I'm on the road, man, I can disconnect from everything, and I could really concentrate on just moving forward. And the Terlingua, like, I've ridden there so many times that now it's just more or less I just crack a throttle, and then I just blink, and then I'm there. Like, my record is 8 hours. I made it from Houston to Terlingua in 8 hours.
But that's almost like the whole fucking state of Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I was doing fucking hot stops. Like, I wanted to fucking get there. And, but just, that could be anywhere. But that's kind of what started the run, was just to, because I love fucking going out there, and it's a place that you can go, and it's also rewarding. Like, it sucks to ride out there. Whether you like 90 is all right. I'll try to do, I don't really know a lot coming from Dallas, like where the good spots are. But I mean, the Garvin store is a good spot and everything, but they're hard miles that you're putting on it.
Yeah.
But it's such a reward when you get there. And I'll say it every single time because it is kind of like a crater, but it's not. You're in a bowl. But on both places, when you come into town, you go up a hill, and then once you at the crest, it opens up to everything, and you see this bowl, and then you're there. Like, that's your destination. Like, all the fucking whatever problems you had on the road, anything, like, you finally made it, and then now you're just kicking it down to 45, which is the speed limit in town. Please switch to 45, and but then you just slow roll it to wherever the campsite is. We will have the campgrounds at that are behind La Kiva. We just won't be having anything at La Kiva this year. If you want to go to La Kiva, that's fine.
That's where it was last year, right?
Yeah. So, but we'll primarily be focused into the ghost town. So the La Kiva campgrounds are going to be the more quiet ones. Like if you have trailers, they're not going to have trailer hookups, but like Roadrunner RV Park, that's right across the street from the liquor store. He's one of our volunteer firefighters. Like, he's a good dude. That's a good RV park. You're going to have all your hookups over there. But if you just wanted to post up and just throw a trailer, or if you have something that doesn't need hookups, you can use that.
How long do you think it'll be before Terlingua starts getting the alpine effect? I mean, or the Marfa and all that shit effect?
A long time.
You think? Is it politics that's going to keep that from happening, or what?
That's a difficult one, just because like corporations are already in there, and there's a corporation called Aramark that's there, and so, but they've been there for a little bit, but there's just so much you don't see. Like, that place has kind of been the same since the 60s. Like, it has, like, it's gotten more water, but like the water system was donated by an old, I don't know what they call him, but he would be like a water architect. He was like a city planner. And then he just happened to move there and was just like, we need to set up water, and called his buddies. Like, he got our fire hydrants there, our 5 donated fire hydrants that they forgot to tell me are just check valves. So, like, if you're running an engine on it, like, you can't pull from that fucking fire hydrant because I'll cavitate the whole entire system, and then now the whole town doesn't have water for probably weeks. Damn. So, but I had to quickly find that out because, like, you're only looking at, it's very low pressure. It'll take me 20 minutes to fill that. We had a 4,500 gallon water tender, and it'll take me 20 minutes to fill that up because I can't, like, I'm just sitting there. Like, I just open it because it's just a check valve. It's just pretty much like if they need to do anything on the piping, they just had 5 fire hydrants donated so they don't have to buy check valves. But as the fire department, you're like, oh, this is a fire. Like, if anybody would go up there, fucking start their pump up and pull the fucking water.
Probably the first thing that would happen would be like some kind of resort tries to come in there and buy a plan and create the Terlingua experience, right? And then that comes with like a Buc-ee's and, you know, some other
That'll
shit.
never
I mean,
happen.
Buc-ee's probably not, but like, you know, the multiple, you know, the things they're going to try to feed off of that tourist trap, right? And then the hotels. Oh, we need a convention center now. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you a story about a good dude named Tony. And this is a prime example on why there's not going to be jack shit of any of that stuff ever in Terlingua. Because, so Tony's a photographer. Tony is an awesome dude. He's very well entrenched in the Terlingua culture. And but he's also a jokester. Like, he's one of those guys where he's having fun with stuff. And like, he overheard that Dollar General was over in Alpine. So all he really did was just make a Photoshop and then Photoshopped a Dollar General sign like in an open lot and said Dollar General coming soon. and then sent it to a buddy of his. And his buddy thought it was hilarious. It was cool. Well, of course, he sent it to another buddy of his. And then somehow, like, for locals in Terlingua, there's a Facebook group that is like the group. So somehow this picture got posted on the Facebook group. And then, holy shit, the whole entire town exploded. And then now, still to this day, there's people that still believe that Dollar General came to Terlingua with hopes to buy a plot of land.
Do y'all have like a protected, like, dark skies kind of thing going on?
What's that?
So, like certain towns will do like a dark sky thing where they don't want any lights so that you always have like Milky Way shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Technically Terlingua isn't even a city. Like
Okay.
it has no city limits. Like you can you would like Marfa, I think, does.
Yeah. But so Marfa's the same way. Like Marfa, they do have more, there's obviously more commerce, there's more going on, but they have like a light thing that they want, that at night they want you to be able to still see the Milky Way.
Yeah, because their shit's the fucking Marfa lights. So that's their big
what's
money
crazy
maker.
about that? It goes back to what Rogan always says. Like, could you imagine like on a clear night, you can see the stars the way nobody else in a lot of part of the country don't get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been in dark parts of the country to see the Milky Way, and it's so like just there. Now you can take a camera and do a long exposure and get a really good shot, and then like in post, like bring all the lights out of it and see some crazy shit. But just with your naked eye, just go walk around and see this shit. You can see that fucking haze of the stars of the Milky Way going around.
Oh yeah. And then fucking what's Elon Musk shit?
The Starlink.
SpaceX.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Starlink. Yeah, and then because that fucked me up the first time I saw it because it's like 5 or 7 satellites, but like you see it
They're
plain as day
synchronized,
out there.
yeah.
And they're perfectly spaced out. And like why it fucked me up because I couldn't tell if it was a cloud or it was like the galaxy shit, you know? And because they disappeared behind it, and we're just like looking at that and like, is that a fucking alien? Like we were a little tripped out about it. This was also like 11 o'clock at night, so just use your imagination.
Yeah.
So, but while we were sitting outside scoping it out, like that was the first time I ever saw it. But it was just literally perfectly in sync, and they just crawl across the sky. But you'll see shooting stars all the time, and not just this bullshit like Make-A-Wish shooting star thing where it's just like a little speck. Like you'll see it ignite, and you can see the trail of fire behind it, and it is a legit fucking hitting our atmosphere. Like it's not this bullshit streak in the sky. It's shooting stars.
Yeah,
and that's just normal. Like you'll see it probably once a week. Like that's just normal out there, and we'll just point it out. Like everyone has a little shooting star thing. So yeah, and
I saw this one. It bounced off another one.
yeah, and it's just, but I mean, there's nothing like a Terlingua sky is like no other, and like especially like we would sit on top of our trailer, like fucking grab an extension cord and put a TV on top of your trailer, and just then at sunset or either at night. I mean, then just there's a cool breeze going on, but that's a fucking moment. You can't get that shit around here.
No. That's why I wonder if like you were saying earlier before I walked downstairs about how like the kind of people that are attracted to going to the desert and the kind of like philosophies that they kind of carry about like things and what that kind of entails. And I don't know, man, like, there's something about that. Like when you're out in those areas, I don't know. I'm trying to like find the words to kind of describe for myself what it's like when I travel and why I'm so always like being from Dallas. Like I'm always looking to go west because even though I think a lot of people in California don't want to go east because of the desert, maybe they're just more accustomed to it. Like it's like part of more of their day of life. They don't see it the same way that I see it, or some people like in the Midwest, like whatnot. But I want to go west because I love that big sky. I love that desolate feel. I want to feel small. I want to fucking just be out there and go down these towns and see what happened. And when you go east, like it's beautiful. There's so much cool shit about going east, but it's not the same vibe, man. It's just not. You're kind of trapped. You're in trees. You're in cities. You're in townships and all these things that like have been here for hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. When you go in the desert, you're in like things that have been there for thousands of years that somehow worked then but doesn't work now. So we just all kind of left it alone. I found out a funny, and I'm going to botch this a little bit, but I'm going to try to get through it. AC wasn't invented. Like the AC, like air conditioning was not really, I think, widely spread available or invent like a thing until like the 40s. And a lot of your desert towns didn't start growing until then. You know what I'm saying? So your Phoenixes and, you know, probably even probably not Salt Lake because that's pretty north, but just your Tucson, El Paso, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know, that was more like lawlessness.
What are you talking about, like deserty?
Yeah. Well, just like, you know, for the longest, like, you know, AC is what made those towns like people wanted to move to them because other than that, nobody's gonna fuck to move to.
Yeah, they made them hospitable. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they're inhabitable.
Yeah, inhabitable. That's the one. Yeah. Shit. Like. Yeah, I mean,
LA, like the coast has always had like the breeze off the ocean, so they've always had like great weather. But you think fucking, I don't know, fucking Coachella, what is it, IDEO or how the fuck they say that, Indio. You think that place?
Oh, is that
like
where Coachella's at?
Close to it, I
Yeah,
think.
you have like Indio, and you have like 29 Palms, and then the Mojave Desert, like up the California coast. You have the coast, and then you have the like Central Valleys, and then everything east of that is all desert, and that's what leads into Arizona and into Nevada. And I see what you mean, Jace, because literally from El Paso, like once you get into West Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, like as long as our country's been alive, that was the man. That's the point of no return, man.
The Wild
You
West.
may not make it. Like,
Yeah.
Oregon Trail was a trail going through the Rockies. Like that was the
North.
scary time. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like these are, man, you're at the point of no return. Good luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's real shit. Like it still is real shit out there.
Yeah, now we can just ride a bike across it and like feel like we're being hard. Like, oh shit, I'm living a hard life out here.
Well, it is. It's a forced respect. Yeah. So especially if you haven't been out there, those roads, like, and I try to do everything I possibly can, like, you know, with the fire department, with the National Park Service, like we're trying to do everything just in if an accident does happen to try and prepare for it, but also keep in mind everything takes money. And this is Brewster County is in the middle of West Texas and primarily going on tourism. So we have one ambulance. We have one fire engine. We have one tender. Like, we do not have the resources when 200, 300, 400 people are coming to town.
Music festival come to town, like, y'all be fucked.
Yeah. And, I mean, there was a couple of stuff to where they, like the chili cook-off, that used to be 15,000. Like, yeah, like, it's huge. It still is. It's probably around 4,000 to 5,000 people that come up. Now they have 2 different locations. But like working the chili cook-off, like we're working. Like it's stressing the system out, and it's not like normal in a city to where if you call somebody, it's gonna take an hour for me to get there. Like if something happens at, let's say, Santolina Canyon, which is about an hour and a half from our fire station, it's gonna take us an hour and a half to get there. I mean, they do have park rangers that are EMTs or that are EMT intermediates, but that's not their primary function. Like they're park rangers. They don't. The amount of experience they have with medical care is very minimal. So, but that's all you have. So just keep that in mind when you start hot dogging down the roads and stuff, because it's very addictive. Like you can, once you start feeling it, and I felt it too, and I put myself into some weird situations, like with rear tires swinging out and stuff like that. But those mistakes can really put you in a bind, and you don't know. Last year, we had a cow that was walking across the fucking road, and that caused somebody to slam on the brakes, and that was a small little crash that they had, but still, like, it was a fucking cow in the road. Like, you're not riding these things thinking that there's a goddamn cow. There's horses, there's burros, there's javelinas. Like, all those things are out there, and they could go right in front of you any second. So just enjoy it. Like, you don't have
Cruise.
to. Yeah. I mean, if you want to, like, dude, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love fucking, like, taking it hard and stuff, but with respect. I know my limitations. I know what that bike can do. I know how I have it set up. I know where the gravel spots are. Like, you can go at a moderate speed, but keep in mind your comfort zone is not there. If you haven't ridden those roads before, especially River Road, still to this day doing River Road, like when it first starts, there's a couple of dips and like hills that you go up to completely blind turns, and I still lose my stomach going over those because every time I do it, it gets a little faster and faster. But dude, you can't see. There can be a car coming around like you were talking about earlier. Like there's boulders that fall off the fucking the side. I wouldn't call it a mountain. Like what would you say? Like a canyon, because it's the Rios going through it. But there's gravel. Like those fucking street sweeper guys. Those aren't actual street sweepers. Those are just fucking dump trucks with the big snow plows up front. And they're going like 40 miles an hour down River Road, and they'll just slap that shit down because they just want to finish. They have to do it every other day, so they're trying. But that's all you got. And then taking that road, you need to give yourself enough ample space to react. So, and then just, I don't want anybody to be hurt, but it is a potential out there. So just know that if you do ride out to Terlingua, like take it easy and just ride at a speed to where you can turn your head.
Well, that's kind of been an ongoing thing with the growth of performance motorcycles and people buying a lot of high-end products to put on their bikes that are essentially there to make the bike perform better. And I always give Paul from Lindahl credit for this because he's always talked about tuning the rider versus the bike. And a lot of people will buy all these parts for their bikes and then they try to ride them at abilities that they don't have because they never done a rider safety course or done the track days or followed behind Steve Chamberlain or things like that. Like you have to get good at this. And if you're from a place like Dallas, right, we don't have a lot of elevation changes. You go to the Talamina and you start ripping that and you start getting some of those fucking corkscrew turns down, elevation changes, where all of a sudden you're good at doing that clover leaf that you scrape peg on every week. But now you've got this awkward thing where the weight of the bike is being shifted to some part of the bike that you've never felt before as you're taking a corner. Now you're fucked because you've never felt that before and you're at your like limit of what you're capable of doing. So many people wreck in performance motorcycles because they don't understand. Like, look, you can die on this motherfucker all the time.
I almost fucking did.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think that social media, like bikes, like everything's a fun party. Wow, like we're drinking. We'll go fucking like I'm guilty. I fucking drink and ride all the time. I don't do it at a. Probably shouldn't say that, but I don't. It's not my point. I'm not trying to do that to prove a point. I'm just saying like, hey, look, I'll have a couple beers and I'll ride home, but I'm not gonna go fucking try to go. And so many people like they just don't. They don't understand that, man. Like you can die really quick. And I've been telling the homies for a long time, like 7 years we've been riding together here in Dallas, and we haven't technically lost somebody yet, even though we do have a homie on life support right now.
Yeah,
and he's been on support for almost a year now, which is sad. You know, it sucks and whatnot, but it's like that quick, man. It could be over.
Oh yeah, and a lot of love to Jose and Sylvia.
Yeah.
So, but that is a true and like not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything because everyone rides their own ride, but just enjoy it. Like you don't have to go fast. Like yeah, cool. Like come here a couple of times. Like go to Terlingua on your own and ride some of these roads. Like get used to the atmosphere. But if it's your first time or second time, enjoy going out of speed where you can look at shit.
Yeah, dude.
Because if you're going fast, you ain't looking at jack shit.
Yeah.
You're looking at the fucking road and you're like, whatever the fuck, you're zoned in. You don't need to do that out here, man. Like, you can you're missing out on so much. Like, you could pass a fucking alpaca, you know? And then you're like, holy fuck, that's an alpaca. Pull over. And now your buddies are drinking beer. Because, dude, it's West Texas. I had beer in my saddlebag a lot. So that's what, if we wanted, like at the Overlook, we'll pull over and we'll throw ice in the saddlebag and we'll grab a couple of beers and we'll chill out at the Overlook during sunset. You know, like have those experiences. Like, you don't have to. And if you're chasing that adrenaline and stuff, just know, be accountable. Like stay at your own speed, but if something happens, be prepared for it. Yeah. Like if you're gonna do it, grab one of those Garmin GPS satcoms or whatever. You know, have something to notify people. Don't put yourself in a situation to where you have no way to, because there's nothing out there to come find you. You're gonna get found by some dude in his family that is just trying to get that was told, oh, River Road's a good road. Yeah. You know, like, and that could be hours. Yeah. So like if you do want to do that, and I'm not saying it's bad to do, be prepared. Like I think they're like $100 or some shit, but the Garmin has these little things to where you just fucking press a button. It shoots whoever you set up text messages with your GPS location, including 911 if you need to do 911 and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So just be prepared for that, because that can fucking happen. It has happened, and we just don't want it to.
Yeah, I mean, traveling this country, like you know, being, like I said, once again, being from Dallas, like we don't have like the best air quotes riding within immediate of here, right? But so if I'm gonna ride my bike to California, go ride PCH, like I want to fucking ride it, but enjoy it. I also want to see it, like you said, but also like, man, I gotta ride this fucker home. You know what I mean?
Dude, I get the same fucking feeling if I'm just like slow cruising with my visor up and just really looking around and like taking mental images, being appreciative that I'm not on the fucking ambulance, or I'm not sitting on the ground with a dead dude's head in my lap, intubating them, you know? Like, no, I'm here. I don't have to worry about my fucking bills. You know, I'm not watching fucking Fox News, learning about bullshit taxes or whatever the fuck so and so is fucking doing. No, I'm fucking here, and like, there's no one can ruin my day right now. So like, I can just take it in, and it's a really good feeling. Like, I like pulling my bike over and taking a picture at the sign of Presidio, because what does that say? I just fucking rode River Road. You know, like, what did you do today? You know, this was a great experience, and I'll go and have a drink at a bar at Presidio. But if you have you don't even need your passport for that one. You just need a gold star on the top right of your driver's license. Please, if you speak Spanish, you can go to Oinaga, or they call it OJ. But I mean, this isn't some fucking tourist town. Like, they don't get, who the fuck goes to Presidio? Like, I want to go to OJ.
I heard that a lot of people go to Presidio because it's a chiller border crossing to get into Mexico. Like, it's not as like.
Oh, you just drive the fuck over.
Well, it's like across. You don't have like all the cartel shit like you do in like Juarez and Laredo and all that shit.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just population. Like, you literally just drive to go into Mexico, you just drive over there. Like, it's getting back that's a fucking pain in the ass. Yeah. And please follow the signs, because I was dumb and I was going back, like, because I was just going over there with my girl at the time to look for a fucking Mexican blanket, you know. But I come to find out,
dude,
they're hard
pilot,
to find.
Dude.
I know, but I didn't want to have to spend that pilot like $20 or $40. You know, I can go over there and get one for $5. It's handmade and badass. And but like, going over there, I took all my buddies' advice and stuff like that. So if you are going to go over to a border town, you got your small bills in the right pocket, your large bills in the left. Never pull out your large bills anywhere you're at. And but when you go in there, like, you're in fucking Mexico. Like, the gas stations are in pesos. No one speaks any English. Like, there's no reason for them to, because they don't get a lot of people coming from. If they're from Presidio, they were probably from OJ. The only Americans they get coming into fucking OJ are people using the dentist. Because for some reason, there's like 50 fucking dentists in OJ, and
that's cheaper, dude.
And they're cheap as fuck. But your dentist is your pharmacist. And Mexico doesn't have the regulations that we have, so like they'll go to get a checkup and they'll just be like, yeah, my back also hurts. Or they'll say some other stuff. And then that's pretty much your doctor's prescription, is running over to OJ and setting up a dentist appointment. But that's as much as like they'll see of Americans. And then when I was over there, like, I had to walk into a boot shop and I'm trying to like fucking be like, where do I find, like, I'm having pictures of Mexican blankets. And they're just like, I don't fucking know. We ended up just driving around in my truck, and then I got gas. And then we just, you know, I don't speak fucking Spanish. Like, what the fuck do I do? And we just kind of enjoyed it. There's cool picture spots, but take a translator if you're going to go across the border to OJ.
I just take every American word I use and I make it sound Mexican.
That's the problem, dude. That's where I got made fun of. Because, like, for some reason, I put a fucking accent on it.
Like,
yeah. And they were looking at me like, this motherfucker, you know, because I don't know why.
That's why the racist shit I've ever done.
And I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to be like, hey, you know, I'm cool. Like I'm trying to, you know, speak. No, that would be like them talking in a Southern accent, or like coming over here to Texas.
So, in my defense, though, like, I used to paint a lot of cars at like body shops in Oak Cliff here in Dallas, and a lot of them were like barely speak English, but I was an airbrush artist, so I'd be in there doing fucking lowriders and things like that. And the way they spoke to me in broken English and confused is the way I try to look at them saying broken Spanish and confused.
Yeah.
I just fucking reciprocated it in a different way. So
yeah, I got a weird look. That's what, because I for some reason I put a weird accent on it, because I don't know why. I got busted out about it by my girl at the time.
Like Australian or something.
Yeah, and like, I was just like, babe, we gotta go. Like, I don't think this is working out, you know. But it was a cool experience. But like, but it is a different. It's not like you're going to fucking Cancun.
Really, like, I can't tell you how much of a bucket list goal it is in my life to make Mexico a part of like me traveling on motorcycles. Very common.
I mean, shit, Chihuahua is 4 hours from that border crossing. Mm-hmm. You can easily fucking take a trip over there. Like, I always wanted to do that. Get like 10 or 14 or 15 guys. But like, everyone meets in fucking what?
10 or 14, like,
I was thinking like 14 or 15, but then like 10. But
I even feel like 10. Like, I think
need a good fucking
You're crossing
number
the line of too much attention. You need like a solid 6.
I know, but these are nice bikes. You know, I'm thinking strength and numbers.
We got to get away. Yeah, strength and numbers. We're gonna.
Have you heard cartels?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Like, this is in my brain. It seems like fucking.
I'm not taking a fucking nice bike down there.
Say, oh money. Ransom.
Yeah, like fuck.
I'm gonna take a bike down there that can go away, and I get a fucking check from like the insurance or whatever.
Yeah,
a
because you do have to
Pan-America
pay
or some
for
shit
insurance.
like that.
Yeah, but a group of dudes, and then we go to fucking Chihuahua, you know, and I mean, because it's a 5-hour, but we all meet either in Terlingua or in Alpine or something. Then we fucking jet across the border.
No, I want to do. So I mean, we were talking about the Baja thing, or no, the EDR is next year. So
Yeah.
and it's always like right after our camp out. So I think we were talking about doing EDR next year and like getting our feet wet with that feeling of going into Mexico and riding around and with a bigger group like that to just kind of get the Danger Dan's like he's got it down. Like he's in Mexico right now doing some kind of run. And I don't know, I want to do that shit, man, but it's like we were hanging out at a Harley dealership the other week and I was talking to Dan about this and I was like, dude, when you talk about how easy shit is for you, it's because you're the kind of guy that just falls into place wherever you go. Mm-hmm. Like I'm out of place. Like I look uncomfortable. I'm like that dude that goes to your house and you say, my dog only bites people that are uncomfortable. I'm like, your fucking dog's making me uncomfortable, dude. How do I not be uncomfortable when your dog's making me uncomfortable?
Your dog's looking at me.
The fuck am I supposed to do? Like,
Yeah.
So like Dan's just that dude that just like
He's like a golden retriever, you know,
Yes.
like anybody
100%.
will like that dude, and they'll be like, it's fine, you know. Nobody has to worry about that guy, and dude, I'm jealous of that type of shit.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think way too much.
Exactly.
And I just can't be that free spirited. I want to be. That's a goal of mine. That's a bucket list. 2024. Be Danger Dan free spirited, but it's probably not going to happen. I'm probably going to go into everything thinking way too much about everything that's going to happen or could happen.
It's a difficult road, but I mean, especially like with this accident I had back in February, like it's been 10 weeks, I think 10 or 11 weeks. And it's been a roller coaster. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want someone to listen to this and be like, because it's a pylon fracture or pilon fracture, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's pretty much the worst thing you could do to your fucking ankle. And like, I had to get 3 plates, 9 screws put in. It was a pretty extensive surgery, you know, and like to tell you in a nutshell, like I sat in front of my surgeon and the first thing he said was, hey man, I'm really sorry this happened to you at 38. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? He says, well, you know, with these type of fractures, like we never know, you know, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, they call it the bad news break because you just consistently get bad news over it because it's hard because, I mean, that's a bone that you've been cultivating your whole fucking life. Like that's a perfect ball and socket joint. And when you fuck it up like I did, like they had to put cadaver bone on the bottom of my tibia, I think, and which pretty much because I cracked it all. It spiderwebbed all the way up. Like I don't know if it was a power line guide pole I broke.
Is it from like trying to put your foot down to catch you?
I don't fucking know.
Like it shattered it from the bottom up.
It could be like the dudes. There was 2 dudes that came to help me, and like those were the best, you know, because like. I remember like on the ground and I'm like, I jumped up and then it was immediate processing what's going on. And then that's when those 2 dudes, because there was a house across the street and those 2 dudes started running over there. Well, dude, I've been fucking like, that's my fucking light switch just kicked in. And like, I've seen these, I've been in a million fucking traffic scenes like this. And like, I'm the dude that fucking manages it. And so, like, once they came over there, like, I looked at my bike was probably 10 or 15 feet away. Like, it was on its side. Like, I knew what happened. I didn't know my ankle was so fucked up. So I guess it was, like, adrenaline. But I remember jumping up. These guys running over. They're like, do you need me? Let's call 911. I'm like, fuck no. Like, let me figure out what the fuck just happened. And then they're just like, and they're throwing all this information. I'm like, stop, shut up. Like, I need to figure out, okay, we need to get my bike out. Like, and there's shit everywhere. Like, my bag's opened up. So I'm like, pick up all this shit. And then, but just they didn't question it. They were like, all right, cool. And then, so they started, like, I was sitting on the ground because this is when standing on it, I walked a little bit. And then my ankle just fucking buckled. Like, it literally, if you can, like, it was a straight line and then it was a fucking L. So, and I'm like, oh, shit. So I just thought I fucking sprained it or something. So and I'm like, okay, I'll just fucking hop on one leg. But I kind of sit down to take my boot off because I'm smart enough. Like I got about 5 or 10 minutes before I can't take my boot off. And at that time, just this fucking guardian angel dude runs up to me and hands me my phone. And like I was so like, all the wrecks I've been in, my phone was fucking shattered. You know, that was always the first thing to fucking go.
Yeah.
And I just turned and it fucking worked. And then just boom, clicked. Like I was staying at my buddy's house because I was coming back from Dallas for the R2, so I was in New Braunfels. So I had my truck and trailer sitting in front of his fucking house. And so I called Brad, who's like a brother to me. He was a firefighter for North San Antonio. He retired battalion chief. Like, we've known each other for decades.
Yeah.
And like, I just fucking called him. All I fucking said was, hey, I went down. My keys are on the counter. I'll send you where I'm at. I need you to come pick me up. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't even but 30. He was 30 minutes away. He lives in Belle Verde. And he was there with my truck and trailer. But like all the people there, like we ended up, because I needed to get my fucking bike out. I'm not letting any asshole record driver, because what he's going to do is fucking tie his winch to my wheel.
Drag
that motherfucker out. And I'm like, no, fuck that. So I kind of crawl over to the motorcycle. This is when like all the two dudes are throwing stuff back in my bike. And like, we got to get my fucking bike out of here. And it's kind of, I don't know. It's right in between the river and the road. So it's facing it, so we were able to
Was it New Braunfels when you went
Yeah,
down?
this was on River Road.
Okay.
So we get it back up. Well, I broke my whole entire shift linkage and everything like that. So I reached behind it and kind of shove it into fucking neutral. Because, I mean, my keys were still in it. Like, these guys are trying to put it up and they're trying to start my motorcycle and it's fucking kicking it. And it was a debacle at first. But once we got it into neutral, like, okay. And then I fucking, because I can't walk at this point. And then I kind of like crawl over to the front tire. And then now they'll push it a little bit. And then I was useless. I was just the dude that made sure it didn't roll back down the fucking hill. So like they would push a little bit. I would kind of squeeze myself up a little bit and hold it. And then they'd push a little bit to where we at least got it enough of the angle to where we can kind of turn it around, stick it in the road and walk it over there. And that's where this fucking lovely little lady, I think there's like a corner store or something. And she came up there, and you could tell, like, she knew some biker shit. Like, she kind of looked at me and shook her head and, like, fucking kind of reached her hand behind me so I was able to hobble. And then she helped me, because now they're pushing my motorcycle. She's helped me hobble to the parking lot. And they asked, like, if I wanted a chair or some shit. And I just wanted to sit next to my bike. I knew I fucked up, and, like, I knew my bike was fucked up. And it was all, like, hitting me at the same time. Mm-hmm. So... But luckily, they just sat me on my fucking front tire, and they got me water and some ice, and I just kind of leaned up on the ground on my front tire, and then that's when Brad came in. And I just got to give him, this was probably the most important. Like, this is probably why I'm here right now, is because the first thing he said when he got out of his truck, he looked at me and he was just like, his wife's name is Cindy. And he's just like, hey, I've already called Cindy. You're good to go. You can stay at our house for a couple of weeks. And I'm just like... like, because in my brain, I'm like, dude, I live out in the fucking desert. Like, I just wrecked my shit. Like, my leg's broken. Like, where the fuck? Like, I can't go. Like, there's no fucking, like, I'm not going to go to Big Bend Regional. You fucking insane. They'll probably cut my leg off. You know? Like, so in my brain, like, and you're cycling a million thoughts at one time. And just for him to just completely understand that, hey, you're good. You can stay at our house. And I'm just like, oh. And then that's when it's like, all right, I can fucking breathe. Like, he fucking took my bike. He loaded it in the back of the trailer. You know, the bike is safe. No one's fucking with us. We don't have fucking ambulances and PD. We don't have a fucking police officer asking me a bunch of dumbass questions. The situation's over, you know? And so I was able to hobble over to the back of the truck, and I just put myself in the back of the truck, and he dropped me off at just some standalone emergency clinic. I just thought I fucked my fucking leg up, you know?
He just walks into the place, you get like staples pulled out and stitches removed. And you're like, hey, it's fucked. I don't know what's going on. But you got like VA insurance or something like that?
Oh, fuck yeah. The
right.
VA has been amazing. All and like it's so because they have it's called the CARES Act. So that's what really covered me, because of course, like, I don't have access to VA medical centers and stuff like that. So they've covered the whole entire situation. I know I'm above 40 grand on this whole entire thing, and I haven't even started fucking physical therapy yet. But like I haven't received one bill in the mail, and just it escalated. Like, it's still the VA, so you got to stay on your fucking shit. Anybody that uses VA knows it. You know, if you slipped, and then you slipped.
Yeah.
And but like from the emergency front, like, because they did X-rays. And they're just the lapse of just how the kind of the snowball just got so big so fast. It was at the original doctor was just like, oh, you just have some fractures in your tib fib, like probably a cast for 10 or 12 weeks. You're good. All right, sweet. You know, awesome. So I go back and it's wrapped up and shit. And I still got to speak to an orthopedist. So I know I got Jason, who's a good friend of mine. He's pretty much the safety guy with Terlingua Fire Department, but he's a very rad individual. That's when he was saying, like, he goes to the San Antonio VA, and he's like, dude, they're fucking awesome. They pretty much pull all the physicians locally in San Antonio, and they staff it with that. So I'm like, okay, cool. And they're comparable to the Houston VA, and I do appreciate people that work for the VA. Chill the fuck out on people. Like, I get you're not getting paid a lot of money, but just be nice to people, because the Houston VA is not that nice. But the San Antonio one took really good care of me, but, like, once I got there, fucking escalated immediately. Like, I went to an x-ray and they're just like, oh, we're taking you to CT now. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so, because right now I just have this fucking bullshit emergency clinic doctor that just wrapped my leg up, and like I'm just kind of in an ace bandage and like a makeshift cast at this moment in time. And
sticks and a
tape.
Like
nothing that equates to what actually is going on with my leg. After the CT, they're like, that's when I sat down with orthopedics, and they're just like, hey, we'll probably have to put a couple screws in you. So from a cast for 10 to 12 weeks, okay, you might need a couple screws. I get scheduled for surgery. That's how I got the fucking peg leg I walk on now. And that was pretty much like because for the VA, prior to surgery, they set you up. It's just like the fucking military, to where like you have all your appointments that you have to do. And so I got my blood work to make sure, you know, if I fucking bleed out, you know, what fucking blood you're going to use. But where the godsend was my anesthesiologist. So, because I have to go, because they're going to put me under for this shit. And I was talking to my pops at the time, and like me and his relationship, like we're friends, you know, it's one of those things. So she was listening to our conversation, and because I was right outside of her office. And so when I walk into the anesthesiist, I could look at her, if you can imagine like this fucking old grandma, like that's what she was. And she's just like, you remind me of my husband. And I'm like, oh, really? And she's just like, and then she shows me this picture of this eye walk. It's just like, he wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't get off the couch. He complained for so long because he cooks. And it's just like, and I found out about this eye walk. This led him, once he started cooking, he was good. Listening to you talk, you need one of these. And when I saw it, that's when my light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. And I think it's like $150 on fucking Amazon, you know? And that next fucking day, ordered it, being back around civilization, because in Terlingua, like if you order something off Amazon, you got 7 to 10 days before it fucking comes in, you know? And if they mail it to the right spot, you know, like for the fucking third Terlingua run.
Dude's like sitting there looking like, what the fuck, dude? There's a cactus here.
Yeah. No, the third year, they sent all my patches to the fucking Roadrunner RV park. Thank fucking God it's Chris, because Chris was one of my volunteers on the fire department. So he knew what they were. Like, he opened the fucking package. Yeah. So I get this text message from him. If they would have delivered it anywhere else, like, we wouldn't have had patches for the third year, because like I don't know where the fuck they are. They would have been those are like 5 to 7 weeks that I need to put them in for them to actually get them. So you have that stuff when it comes to mailing. But when that fucking iWalk came in, I now have use of my fucking arms. So that's when all the fucking thought processes started coming into play. It's like, okay, well, now I can work on my own motorcycles. Like, because I have fucking insurance and shit. They do not like me, by the way, at all. Because when I bought the R4, and this is a long story long, you know, but when I went to my good buddy Rick Boline, went over there to visit him at Harley Davidson. And I also needed to fucking register the R2. So while I'm on the phone with insurance, I'm like, it was a pretty good rate, because I'm sure there's a couple of people that do it. Go to a Harley Davidson dealership, ask them who their fucking insurance broker is, and then talk to them about getting motorcycle insurance, because you get a pretty good fucking deal. And so that's what I did. Well, I'm like, well, what is it if I put the R4 on it? And she gave me a price, and I'm like, okay, what is it with $10,000 of accessory coverage? Because like that fucking bike has a lot of fucking shit on it. And then it wasn't nothing. Like it added like $5 more a month or some shit. And I'm like, cool, sweet. Well, this is 2 days before I fucking decided to ramp it off fucking River Road into the woods. And so I call them to set up the fucking claim. And like they see that it just started 2 days ago. So when I have that $10,000, and you goddamn right, if I got every single fucking, well, not all of them, but I have pretty good fucking information to show that you got to max out this fucking $10,000
Yeah.
insurance coverage.
You gotta watch out with them. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll be like, well, you added that coverage, but this bike is only worth 3,500 or whatever it's going for. Like FXR might got fucked heavily on that once,
No, that's what they're trying to do to me right now.
They are. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about like all this customizing bikes, and like you got to get a stated value policy where it's not like, hey, I have this year bike, I want coverage of this parts. No, I want my bike to be covered at $45,000 regardless of whatever the fuck this bike is. Meaning that if I have Progressive has that option. You can choose that. And they give you a rate based on that. And it's not cheap. It's not like what it was. I didn't do it. I can't afford it. But the thing is, like, if you want to get covered all the shit you do in your bike, you got to fucking get a different policy. Because for everybody out there, like, so the CVOs that came out last year, the ones that were $48,000 and 56, like they lost $10,000 in value in 1 year, right? I guarantee you the people that finance those bikes are now so far like upside down. You know what I mean? If they wreck their bikes, if they didn't have gap insurance, all this other shit, they're fucked right now, dude.
Yeah, get the gap insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if they put shit on them.
Yeah. Well, it's also what you know. So, and when it comes to insurance, if insurance is ever fucking you over, there's a Texas state, there's insurance, not codes, insurance, there are laws and stuff, but what you need to remember is 21.21. If you mention 21.21 and you can fucking just write a bullshit email and CC one, like find a law firm that has an email and just put them as a CC, like they're not going to give a fuck. Like don't call a lawyer and then have him be like, well, if you CC me, I'll charge you $100, but you can do that. No. Be real with yourself. Like the insurance company doesn't know that fucking person, so I can go find the fucking Texas Hammer and then just put his email as the CC, and they're gonna be like, oh, he must be with a law firm. So, but that's what's going to, because insurance companies aren't expecting you to go. The 2121 is countless amounts of fucking pages. Control motherfucking F, man. Do fine. Look for key terms, stuff like that. But you have to educate yourself, and you have to fight these motherfuckers because they're expecting you. Like, they don't want to give you money. Like, this is, like, the most fucked up thing about all of it, because I know what they're fucking doing. Like, they're going to take my motorcycle, they're going to break it apart, and they're going to figure out the values on everything. They're going to get their fucking money back. And, like, there's just a back and forth with these motherfuckers. But the moment I fucking brought up 21.21, I all of a sudden was transferred to the fucking state representative. Oh, yeah, we do cover paint. I know fucking shit. It's sitting here in my fucking auto policy. And like all the stuff that they said they didn't do, all of a sudden that they're doing now. Because they appraised all of my fucking accessories. I'm trying to salvage my motorcycle. I can give a fuck if they salvage my motorcycle. I'm going to rebuild it. I'm doing it right now. Yeah. And then at the moment I'm done, I'm going to take it right back to the DMV. I'm going to have them inspect it. I'm going to start the process to fucking get my normal title back. Yeah. So that's not a big fucking deal. But the reason why they wanted to salvage it, because now I get salvage value of my accessories. So which they determine. Like, fucking a good buddy of mine, he brought a perspective to me. He's like, they're a fucking casino. And they control the fucking game. They control the money. They control everything. Because now I'm listening to these motherfuckers telling me the value of my motorcycle and then how much my accessories depreciated and all this other stuff. But it's only to reach a fucking number. They already know the number that they need to fucking get you to agree to. Because they know they can make this up. Or they know they already have negotiations with whatever auction that they use of what they're going to get for this motorcycle, and some other dude's going to buy this and rebuild it and then sell it, just like everything. Like now the thing that you love and adore the most is now just there so somebody can fucking put new rims on their fucking car or some shit. Like it's just it's a hobby. Like these are just hobbyists that'll buy. I mean, it's just the same thing as fucking Storage Wars. They don't give a shit about your motorcycle. They just see the value of it of resale. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, fuck that shit. So that's why, like, I've been fighting them for 2 months now. I can give a shit now about that. Just now it's more purposeful, and just know that going that route gives you power. 21.21 gives you the power to make your own negotiations, because they're going to try and once you put them at liable risk, state-wise, then they start listening to you. But before then, man, they'll do whatever they want. Yeah,
it's funny. I used to do a lot of insurance claims, like, through work here. I used to work on a lot of people's bikes and whatnot. And I used to fuck with Geico because back in the day, you could have $3,000 of extended coverage of like accessories, like say the 10,000, right?
Yeah.
But they only took the difference between the factory part and the aftermarket part. So let's say you had a custom radio, like a fucking aftermarket radio. That radio was like fucking, you know, the Harley radio is typically way more expensive than the Sony radio, right? Mm-hmm. So, well, there was no money deducted from your aftermarket insurance because the factory radio costs more than the one that you had. Or say this gas tank is $600. Well, the custom gas tank you got is $900. We're only taking $300 off of your custom insurance.
Yeah.
They used to do it that way, and it was awesome because everybody won. Like, you know, like the bikes got refixed, customized, but then they got wind of that shit because I kind of fucking, you know, I made fun. I had some good shit off of it, but I mean, at the same time, like when I started going to NorCal to paint bikes, it was all for people doing insurance fraud, not me. I'm the one getting hired to paint a bike because they dropped their bike in the driveway. They did a stated value claim of $75,000 for this bike, and now they're getting $40,000 on their insurance, and they don't give a shit about paying $1,000 a month on insurance. They just got all this cool shit for their bike, and all they do is pay $1,000 a month.
That sounds like a lot, though.
For people in California?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, I get it. I mean, if that's
I mean,
what they can
well,
fucking
the
swing.
guys that we used to do this back in the day, like they're like working these union jobs where they're fucking building bridges and you know it's like blue collar labor that these guys are doing, but because of the places they're working and the amount of money that comes through it, like they just fucking bank, dude. I mean, my whole fucking existence in NorCal was based off this kind of thing.
I remember plenty of stories of guys with custom cars that got custom paint jobs because they're, I went to the movies and my car got keyed. I don't know what happened. I don't know why someone keyed my car.
Yeah.
Didn't like me. Next thing you know, they're getting a full color change.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, have I used my, like, I mean, I used an accident but my bike's fucking paid off. Like, fuck you.
Dude, I've never, I don't have health insurance. I do have automotive and motorcycle insurance, but I don't know that it works. Cause like I'm that guy like you're talking about. When the shit goes south for me, I have so many other problems that are more pressing. Like I don't have health insurance, so if I'm fucked up, like my leg's fucked up, that's way more pressing than my bike, right? Mm-hmm. Because the bike is like, hopefully the insurance covers it, but I have no insurance to cover my leg, so I got to figure out the fuck how I'm gonna deal with this, right? And so I just never dealt with like insurance for me personally has always been like a fucking another shit show of like things that I'm not equipped to deal with. Like me and Devin were talking before you showed up. It's like I'm so fucking busy, so busy. And I try not to say that a lot because I know someone's busier than me. Mm-hmm. Right? And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm busy. I'm not trying to play the game. I'm just saying my life is fucking busy. It's, you know, I told you guys when I left Terry Shanks yesterday, I got to go home and draw.
Yeah.
Well, I went home, jumped on the bike, went and had tacos in Dallas, then came home and I drew sketches till 4 a.m. last night. Right? And then I'm up here at 9:30, 10 a.m. painting, getting ready for this podcast. And then it's like another thing, like tonight, even though I'm kind of buzzed, I need to go and work on editing a podcast that needs to come out Wednesday.
Gotcha.
So it's like there's no fucking end to this like thing. It's like I'm super busy all the time, but I still can't afford fucking health insurance. I can't afford it. Like I've tried to find it 100 times. Not 5 times, let's be real.
You could, but it's just it's a gut punch.
I could get
expensive it is.
Yeah.
But it's like
I can get health insurance
gut punch
to
and it's
appease
bullshit.
the Obamacare shit.
Yeah.
But I can't get health insurance that justifies me paying for it because it's not going to actually do anything for me. Mm-hmm. I'd rather not even have it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect your credit and stuff like that. Most people don't know that. And it fuck, if you need fucking
but dude,
help.
You're talking about like the problems that you have. That is the thing that I think needs to be stressed more in motorcycling is like, fuck all these reels about the hype fest. And I know we have a camp out reel that's hype fest, but Dude, motorcycles will fucking kill you, man.
Yep.
If not, it'll put you in a place. It'll make you a vegetable. It'll make your life and everybody that loves you have a hard time with you. Take this shit seriously, man.
Yep.
Like I travel on motorcycles a lot. I put thousands of miles down every year. And yes, I do want to take that challenge to go run fucking Laurel Canyon as hard as you do. But I also got to think, I rode here from Dallas, dude. You're from the valley, dude. Like this is your backyard. If you fuck up, that's a $200 towed bill back home. Like it's gonna cost me a couple grand to get my bike back, me back home, like all this shit. Like we're not playing the same game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I should be fucking dead. Like the two guys, because we exchanged numbers because they accidentally kept my keys. Like when they were trying to fucking lift my bike up, they kept accidentally starting it. So I'm like, take the fucking keys out. Yeah. You know, we're about to. This motorcycle's about to run into the river. You know, let's try and
calm down
a little bit. And he ended up like coming back and getting our numbers, and he dropped it back off to the emergency clinic I was at. And I just used that opportunity to be like, I don't really want to know like kind of what happened, but I kind of like bridged it, but they won't tell me. So that's when so it was bad. Like, and because they're just like, no, dude, you should be dead. Like we thought we were going to walk up to a body and like,
dude, bro, I got to pee real bad, but there's a lot of people get killed right in front of my shop right here because there's this highway. People don't judge it very well. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things. You got to look so far left and right that you doing it so quick, especially in a motorcycle, you can kind of get like a little bit of a parallax going on, and you don't judge the depth. Dude, there's been times, and I hate to say this as a motorcyclist, there's been times I've left here, and literally as you drive up there to hit the road, 20 feet or maybe 20 yards, a dude dead. Yeah. The cops are there, everything's, and they're like, I don't like it's tough, man. It's wild. It's wild seeing that shit because as a biker, you know, you have this like communal like tribalism that goes into it. But fuck, dude, like this shit is so quick, man.
Oh yeah, and it can happen to anybody, and it's really like
it could happen if you did everything right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are, like and it just you have like we're in it, like our hearts are into these things, like this. And that sense of, I will say it again, that sense of understanding that Brad saved, like, because, like, you just told a fucking NASCAR driver that his new job is a church camp security guard. Like, everyone I was talking to was just like, hey, your life sucks now. And, like, this is, like, I hope, like, my doctor recommended vitamin fucking D and all this shit. And no.
To the sun.
Yeah, what I fucking needed was.
Supplement the sun.
Yeah, was just understanding friends. Like, hey, I know this is going to suck, because that was my outlet. That was, 13 years as a firefighter paramedic and a bunch of other shit and service and stuff. I finally found what I can express myself through. And traveling all over the country, that it's reinvigorating. The people I've met through it, the friends that I've built just through the run to Terlingua, I have best friends now from that event. That like Dunny, the story with him about him literally not knowing me from fucking anybody else, and we just connected because he was a firefighter in Southern Louisiana. So of course, like, dude, you can crash my fucking couch and shit like that. That turned into all these crazy stories. Like the first one, we do you know Nathan, photographer?
Yeah.
So Nathan sleeping he snores. All right, and I'll say this, like, Nathan, I love you, but I had to put on fucking earplugs, but I didn't think that, Dunny doesn't have fucking earplugs and he's sleeping, so I had this fucking L couch. And this is the first time he's ever met us before, and we've already been drinking the night that evening, and we show up late. Like, I came back late to my house, and so he just has this quick integration into us, and like I have this really big. So he slept on one side of this L couch, and he slept on the other. Like, I overslept that next morning. Like, we kind of through all of it. Like, that first year just developed that he went to the second and third, but every time he comes down, there's like some wild thing that happens the night before we hit the road from Houston to go over to fucking Terlingua, But now he's a super close friend of mine. Like, we communicate a lot. And a lot of people I've met through it just develop relationships.
You ever been riding on a bike and seen a snake crossing the road and feel like they jumped at you?
No, I've seen a lot of tarantulas.
I've seen snakes. I've Like,
I'm saying one, and it scared the shit out of me. My leg was up in my T-bar real fast.
yeah.
I just don't do fucking spiders. I mean, there's a lot of tarantulas because they migrate across. It's not any crazy. Like, you'll see a lot of them at certain times of the season, but you look at it and we think it's cool, and then I realize it's a spider, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
fuck with that. Yeah, I don't like spiders at all.
So on the pain stuff, the nerve block part, that to retract back because this is like I literally was on the couch and I had to call 911 on myself, and I'm the fucking deputy chief of Terlingua, so that's like calling 911 on myself is not something I want to do because I'm gonna be I'll be embarrassed about it, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like because the same people showing
Help!
up, yeah, is shit that I fucking do, you know. But I couldn't get off. Like this was excruciating. Like, and to the point to where like the medic, when they did show up and stuff, like when I was in the ambulance, like they finally figured out that we're on the same fucking team and shit. Because what we do, we know as paramedics, like for narcotics, like I can give 200 mics of fentanyl. And depending on if I look at you and your fucking leg's broken in half and you have the vital signs to support it, like I'll give you enough pain meds to where you can manage it.
So fentanyl's a pain med?
Oh, fuck yeah. We're talking about medical grade fentanyl. Like,
Yeah, not the synthetic shit that they make in
yeah. It is a synthetic opioid. And what people realize, since it is a synthetic, it's reproducible. So a lot of people find out the concoction. I mean, they do the same with DMT and stuff like that. So you'll get bad batches of DMT. But when it comes to medical grade fentanyl, it's 100 times more potent than morphine. And it also has about a 15-minute to 20-minute half-life. So, like, it's something quick. I can do it nasally. I can do it intravenously. Like, it's something quick that I can do to calm the person down. And so she gave me about 150 to 200 mics right off the bat. Like, she can tell. I think my heart rate was like 140. My respiratory rate was 45 to 50. Like, there was no bullshit coming from this dude about how much pain he was in. And then once she gave that, we kind of looked at each other. It lowered my respiratory rate. Didn't do jack. She didn't even touch the pain, and so that's when we're just like, we got a problem here. Like this isn't just post-op pain. Like something happened, either from surgery or stuff like that. So that's when we bullshit because now at this point it's a manageable. Like it still is excruciating, but like it took the edge off enough to where I'm fine. Get to the fucking hospital, and then so they wheel me into the fucking hospital, and I'm now the fentanyl's worn off. And I'm waiting. I'm like screaming out of the goddamn hospital room, like, "Hey, I'm fucking hurting." Oh, we're waiting for blood work. It fucking clicks in my head. I'm like, these motherfuckers think I'm a fucking narc. Like they think I'm a fucking narcotic. I call them not users,
Crackheads.
in a sense. But it's just like people that just want pain meds because it does seem outlandish. You know, I'm trying to tell them I just had surgery yesterday in San Antonio. Like, you know, it just fucking, you know, it's not touching everything. And so how outlandish that sounds. Like, why the fuck would you have this type of surgery, then drive 3.5 hours home and then go to sleep? Well, I had a fucking nerve block. I didn't know.
Yeah, I wonder why, like, I know that they abuse, like, what's the pain med that everybody used to get?
Oxycodone.
Yeah. They, like, that shit, I love that.
Yes, that's what they fucking gave me after I took that for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, no. Like, that's for that same fucking feeling. I no longer was taking it to manage the pain. I was taking it to manage my fucking mind, like my head.
Yeah. There is that, man. I the whole pill world is like, I never understood it at all. And I've been being very vigilant with, like, because I've been doing a lot of Adderall last 8 months, but you know, been very honest with myself, like when I feel like I need it or don't. You know what I mean? And I think that I don't have insurance, so I can't just go to the fucking doctor and be like, hey, I can't focus.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, I've been doing basically like today, like I took one today. But if I don't have a large task to do at the shop, I won't take it. So I haven't took one in probably 2 weeks. And I only do like a half a pill, and then it helps me kind of like muster through the day.
Yeah.
But dude, there's this part, like this first fucking hour into it, you're just like, it's so fucking, it's a very great place to be.
Because it's an amphetamine.
Yeah.
Like, because you get that dopamine release from the amphetamine. I know exactly what you're talking about because that's the dangerous thing.
Well, obviously that it doesn't last throughout the whole time, but I still feel the productivity through being on Adderall. But I'm aware of it. So I've kind of talked about it in other podcasts where I'll use that time to be more like connecting with people because I'm so much more loving, you know what I mean? So much more empathetic and
it's man, I have that same feeling, and I had a 5 or 6 years of taking Adderall every fucking day, you know. But what I didn't like about it is I thought that's who I was. So when I was off Adderall, I was incredibly anxious. You know, I'm like, oh man, because I thought my ADHD was a problem. I'm telling everybody here that it is not, and I'm getting really sick of motherfuckers treating it like it is because it's a fucking superpower. And when you have, it's literally like. But the fucking X-Men, you know, that whole entire premise of mutants and fucking normal people and the normal people hating on the mutants when they're just good fucking people just trying to, I guess, live their lives with what they have available and navigate it. And that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, can it make us do miraculous things? Very much so. Like I just fucking tore down a bike to the frame with one leg, you know? So, but it's like in my brain, I'm like, this is what I need. And then it's just boom, it reallocates all the resources and like it's like it knew. And then I could just but that release that it gave me, because I have to keep going. I can't stop. If I stop, then everything in my brain, guess where you're at? You're right in the middle of it. And then you're thinking about stuff you don't need to worry about or think about and stuff like that. So I'm like, I have to do something. And then once I make that connection to something, boom, the freight train starts rolling because I no longer thinking about all these other things. Because it's a brain that when you wake up in the morning, it's on. And and it takes a long time to shut that motherfucker down. And that's something I'm working on for myself now, is to try and be like, acknowledge it and not use fucking massive amounts of weed to knock out a goddamn rhino so that I can fucking go to sleep, because it's other stuff. Like I need to get the fuck off my phone, or like just all these things that I've grown accustomed to within the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know why I can't sleep. And I don't know. There's like, I can't sleep in now, but that's because I was 13 years as a first responder. And like, I'm very fucking, if any sort of light and stuff like that comes and crosses my eyes, boom.
Yeah.
I'm wide awake, but that was what I was trained to do. Like when, like I was at a fire station where we just had white light and this worst fucking tone you've ever heard in your life. But it's supposed to wake you up and get you fucking ready. So you do that for years. Like I did 4896s for 5 years. And that a majority of that was on the ambulance. So a majority of that was getting 2 hours of fucking sleep to where your body's trying to shut down. And then poof, now a fucking big white light turns on. Now you got a speaker that turns on. Now you got fucking dispatch saying blah, 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 17-year-old, multiple GSW, autoped, and then you're just like, huh.
That's got to fucking wreck your fucking like system though, right?
Oh yeah, it's your circadian rhythm. Mine is still fucked up. Like but that's your mind. You need to educate yourself. I'm reading books about it. Like it's a lot of, because you're an adult, like whether you like it or not, you're still processing. I'm processing 38 years of life. And it's a lot more. You can't do it on your own. And so I'm trying to acknowledge certain habits that I have, like the Atomic Habits book, fucking amazing. Like if you read that, and it
sounds interesting.
Yeah, it just structures everything, and it helps you, because I do not have an executive function when it comes to prioritizing things. I don't know what the fuck. Like if it's right in front of me and it seems important, that's what I'm doing. Like I don't have the thing, like if I set my keys down, normal people's brain is like, that's important. I need to remember where that's at. Yeah. And my brain doesn't do that. If I set it the fuck down, then it's like whatever's in front of me is now my current attention. And then it just ditches that fucking memory. And then now I'm coming back in a keys, wallet, phone. Whenever you talk to any fucking ADHD kid, it's just keys, wallet, phone. You have everything you need before you leave. But it's making those adjustments and getting over your ego and pride over, why do I have to do this and nobody else has to do this? That's the biggest hurdle. Your first one is accepting the fact that this is how your brain operates. And you are not normal. I'm sorry, but you're abnormal in the best ways possible. Like this is something that your ability to connect with people. Like there's a lot of good to these attributes that you currently have. You just have to see it like that, because unfortunately we live in a society that wants to villainize all those things because they don't have those attributes. And it's very difficult to struggle through that because especially with the executive function, that's your jobs. That's a lot of people that don't understand why you're having difficulties with things that you are. And it's nothing that has to do with you or your chemical composition or really who you are as a person. It's just how your brain operates. And you didn't design it. Like, that's something you've had since you were born. It's just you just never understood it.
Well, Terry actually had a great analogy for it whenever he was on the podcast. He said, like, we don't get to choose our initial operating system or where we were born.
Yeah.
Right? So the operating system is what's instilled in us by the life that we're born into, parents, society, whatever, and where. And you have to spend the rest of your life trying to either fix what was done to you, or maybe you were one of the few people that had a perfect one. And you get to just like spend the most of your life compiling interest on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's when you break it down that way, and that's why I loved about having Terry on here, is it's such a introspective thinking about like that world, like that, we always.
That's the ticket. Because your motorcycle is just the cover of the fucking book. You're writing what's on the inside there, buddy.
Yeah.
And just when people open up that fucking book.
That's good right there, dude.
Yeah. And then what are they going to read?
Did you, hold on.
What?
Did you fucking regurgitate? I mean, it's okay if you did.
No, I didn't. That came out from right here, right now.
That's some solid shit.
That's an Adam original right there.
Yeah.
I like that shit. That's the selling of the fucking Terlingua run right there.
I give you the fucking tools, bro. Like, that's the point of it. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, because I mean we'll bitch about it, and I'll say I'm just much of a culprit over these new CVOSTs because I'm not. It could be a pay to play type scenario, but I mean we're a capitalist fucking country, so why am I going to sit there and bitch about it? I don't give a shit because I just had a great weekend with great people, and it's my heart that allowed me to do that, and so if they want to fucking buy in and have these bikes and fancy stuff, that's just the cover of your book.
Yeah, when we talk shit about like the people that have those new bikes, that we're projecting an experience from an individual that has now it's the saying of time, right? Like that one dude was a cunt and he rode that bike, so now that bike and everybody that rides it is a cunt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were wasting
it. Sucks.
Like, it's just so much emotion on stuff, but I mean that's what we're trained to do. Sometimes you just got to get the fuck out. Like 1 year in Terlingua was like 10 years anywhere else. And I
like
say that. Like, I have so many fucking stories of just crazy things, and just it was an environment to where I implemented 10 years of experience of just, dude, I'm a disruptor. Like, if I get put into a situation, if I don't like it, I'm gonna dive into it. I knew a couple of agencies. I was fighting fucking $64 million administrations because they were fucking with the field staff. And when it comes to first responders, motherfucker, like, we're the reason you exist. Like, the fucking 4 dudes on an engine and the 2 dudes on a fucking ambulance. Without those motherfuckers, you have no purpose. So don't abuse them.
To start wrapping this up, which we should, the thing is about your event that you put on, and we haven't even touched on this, but, dude, the last 2 years that I've been to it, the shot, on surface, made no sense to me. Cool. I mean, no, it made sense, but I didn't get the impact. I didn't get it, right? And so the first year on the ship, we're hanging out. You do it. I got a cool photo, not necessarily a camera photo, but like a phone photo, and it was a vibe. The second year, I brought my friends with me. I wanted them to experience, and of course, we were doing the YouTube video shit at the time, and it was like your Terlingua run was a jump off for this bigger thing for myself. So it was more like this shot was like, fuck, I fucking made it here on this bike I built. I'm about to go fucking put it to the test of what I built it for. But this was what I wanted. I wanted to be here, and I remember I was filming on the GoPro. I was walking up to the stage, like the fucking shot was shaking and shit. And I was just like, I didn't get it the first year, but that second year, as I busted my ass to have that shot with you, it fucking meant so much to me, dude. It meant the world. And writing my name in the registry, being there, seeing the crowd, all the people that reached out, say, hey, we were following the build, blah, blah, blah. Like the camaraderie that came to that stage that night, like that to me was the most special part. Not the roads, which you said the roads.
The roads will get you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that shot, that fucking moment was something that you had to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I fucking love it.
That's what I want out of all of this. Like when I keep talking about social media and stuff, like I understand it's a marketing tool and I understand its power and stuff like that. But that just tells you about it. Like honestly, all you need to do is just show up. Like we've been saying that since day one.
Yeah.
Just pack your shit. Don't be dumb. Know where you're going. Show up.
Yeah.
Like I will take care of everything, and like I will give you the tools, and I could give a fuck. Like I don't care about clout. I don't care about none of that. I care about connections and experience, because I know what that place did for me, and like with the people that with the friends that I have and stuff like that. Like with Adam, like that was he went to the first year, and that was his first longest ride that he's ever done. Like from fucking Houston to Terlingua, that's a hell of a fucking ride. He's been riding for a year, and that incorporated us. And him, like I got him hooked up with my buddy Jamie, and then he became friends with him, but that gave him the confidence now. And then he rode to Oklahoma with us. Yeah. Now he's planning out this big Route 66 solo ride to fucking Oklahoma and stuff like that. And that's what this gives you. Like that's the point of the ride maps. That's the point of, like, if you go on there, that's why the website wants to work, because I want to give you as much information as possible to develop your own journey, because that's what it's for. Like we're a dying breed, whether we like it or not. And like it's up to us to have these environments to keep it going, because I mean Terlingua was not going to be Terlingua forever, and like they will. Yeah. All it takes is the water systems and stuff. The old guard is starting to get towards medical, and they got to move out, and they're just waiting. I mean, Terlingua was the future Moab, but just right now you can get on your fucking motorcycle, pay $20, and camp at the front of the ghost town and wake up to the Chisos Mountains. And you're waking up to probably 60 degrees, 65 degrees to a sunset that's over the Chisos Mountains. And then you can see mule ears. And then you look to your right, and there's a fucking pirate ship and a submarine top and blah, blah, blah. And then you can walk across the street and go get fucking, omelets at the High Sierra.
Yeah.
And then, but it's just everything's quiet. And, it's just, the wind's blowing, like you're in a different fucking
Your
world.
senses are all at heightened. Everything, you feel everything, hear, smell.
And then you look over at your friend, and your friend's feeling the exact same thing. And then you're just like, hey, do you want to go ride? I don't know where you want to ride to. And then you're like, should we go to Big Bend? Should we do the fucking big loop? Which I swear to God, bring your fucking balls, because like I tell you, like I wouldn't do it if I didn't stand behind it. That first fucking year we did it. Like I rode out there, and you know who I'm talking about. We met up, and he was just like, well, you want to ride? And I'm like, you goddamn right. And so, but I came from fucking Presidio to Alpine. We did Fort Davis, then we went to Marfa, and then we went all the way around. We spent all fucking day. We probably put on 300, 400 miles that first fucking day. Yeah. But when you finish it up, and then you sit down, you get a beer, and then you just realize what you just fucking did, and what you experienced, and all the different environments. You went from 3,000 to 5,500 feet. You stopped by the tallest Texas highway, McDonald's Observatory. You can walk inside there and look in the fucking telescopes. I can even see if there's a fucking star party that's BYOB, and you could just fucking stay over in Fort Davis for Saturday night instead of coming back in, Yeah. Get drunk and look at fucking telescopes. But then you get back, and then you're still around your buddies, and it's still the same thing. And then you can talk about it. It's the only environment to where everybody is experiencing the same things, and it doesn't matter what you look like or who you are. You want to tell your story, and then everyone will listen to it, just like the fucking pirate ship after the group photo. Everyone immediately conversed with each other. I mean, you had very, very different personalities, styles, everything, but because you have a common interest, you're talking about Santa Lena Canyon, you're talking about, oh, you rode to Fort Davis, oh, I went to Boquillas, and they're like, oh, well, how was that? Because they want to see your experience, because guess what? They want that experience for next year. So, but it really just takes, pack up your shit. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to give you as much information to plan your trips, but also go fucking old school. Like, get one of your buddies that's more structured to where you'd be like, hey, he's probably better at designing. Like, write your fucking directions on your gas tank. Shut off your fucking phones. Like, make this a once-in-a-lifetime experience, because it's up to you. And, like, you've been following a fucking orchestrated plan. What happens when you don't? So, and what do you take home from that? And that's the point of the run, you know, because I've seen it a couple of years. They do something different, but it's not about it's not about who runs it, who does anything. I just know I have a personality that melds very well with Terlingua, and I could use that to build because it benefits the town. It benefits like the Chamber of Commerce is on board. We're trying to bring in more metal music this year, but it really is your adventure, and it's the one place to where you're accountable for it. And however far you want to take it is up to you. But everything you do, you get to take home. And then you get to tell your story. And then you're writing in your own book. So how do you want to write it?
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man. That's why I love it. That's why, you know, I think having you on the podcast for many years prior to actually going to an event that you fucking orchestrated, you don't really understand like the level of love that you put into something and the feels. The feels is what it is. Like, you know, you put on an event, like you can find a great part of the country to get people to come to, but it's those nuanced things that you've done with the Terlingua run that like, I'm like, okay, I got to step myself up. Like this dude, like you had me at fucking mountains in Texas and all of a sudden now I'm fucking wanting to tear up doing a shot. The fuck, man? Like, this is bullshit.